Vision. Volume 1. By Ashenafi. Int. Fabian's Lab, Day. The year is 2051. We see all kinds of advanced lab equipment, computers, drugs, mice, and other medical instruments. Fabian Christian, 32, is in the middle of conducting experiment, looking at results in his laptop. He's actually working on the Fountain of Youth, Forever Young, a drug that keeps people young for long period of time. A man named Primus, 32, assists Fabian. On Fabian's laptop, we see two mice. One is age 2 and looks very old. The other is age 4 and looks young and energetic. Fabian looks at the mice's genomic structures and types something on his laptop. The computer gives him a result that he likes. Fabian and Primus exchange fist punch to celebrate the result. EXT Utopia Pharmaceutical Company Headquarter, Day. An established shot of Utopia Pharmaceutical Company, a 100-story building. It's one of the leading pharmaceutical company in the world. Int. Utopia Pharmaceutical Company Headquarter, Conference Room, Day. Primus and Fabian present their finding to a group of investors in a round table. The meeting is led by Lucifer, CEO and the owner of Utopia Pharmaceutical Company. Lucifer is our main villain. He only goes by one name. Fabian stands next to a video projector, talking about the product. Note, on the video projector, we see advanced human genome structure and effects that the drug has on cells. Fabian. The drug goes to the core of human genome and reprogram the genes as new. It regenerates new cells from scratch. Not only does it keep people young for very long period of time, but also helps fight stress, depression, and anxiety, that lead to aging, and boost energy to the maximum level. Lucifer gets up from his chair. Lucifer, I heard enough. Lucifer shakes both Primus and Fabian's hands. Lucifer, it's great doing business with you guys. I'll make you the richest men in the solar system, if not the universe. This is the greatest finding in the history of mankind. Int. Utopia Pharmaceutical Company HQ, Conference Room 2, Day. Fabian and Primus sign the contract. Lucifer sits at the opposite end of the table, tapping his fingers on the table. Frank, Lucifer's lawyer, stands behind Fabian and Primus, making sure that they are signing on the right documents. Montage. Forever Young AD. A fancy restaurant, a good-looking man, looks 34, and an attractive woman, looks 25, sit at a table with glasses of wine, conversing. Superimposed, age 65, on the man. Age 62, on the woman. B. New York City, another handsome man, looks 35, and a beautiful woman, looks 28, walk in the street of New York City. Superimposed, age 73, on the man. Age 68, on the woman. C. Basketball court, third man, looks 23, and third woman, looks 22, play basketball. Then the girl does a sexy move and places the ball in the net, he lets her score. Superimposed, age 56, on the man. Age 52, on the woman. D. Yacht, fourth man, looks 25, and fourth woman, looks 24, sailing in the Pacific Ocean with their multimillion-dollar boat. The man takes out a diamond ring, goes down with one knee and proposes to the woman. She says yes. He places the ring on her finger. They kiss, superimposed, age 64, on the man. Age 59, on the woman. E. Back to, second man and woman 2 in the street of New York City, they stand face to face, and talk, without a sound. They then kiss. They part their lips, get on their motorcycle and ride in the street of New York City. F. Back to, fancy restaurant. First man and first woman. He gives her his hand to dance. She takes his hand. They come to the dance floor and dance breathtaking tango. G. Back to, basketball court. Third man carries the girl on his shoulder and runs down to the court with amazing energy. Announcer, be eternal. Stay forever young. H. Back to, yacht. Fourth man and woman dance slow. They then kiss. Announcer, it also helps fight depression and anxiety, and boost energy to the maximum contentment level. Montage. Note, we will see the production and distribution of Forever Young by millions, and Fabian conducting a farther experiment. Utopia Pharmaceutical Company, machines making pills. Machine packaging the end products. Fabian's lab, Fabian conducts experiment on mice, making sure the drug has no side effect. Utopia Pharmaceutical Company, blue-collar workers repacking and stacking the pills. Fabian's lab, Fabian continues to conduct experiment. We see the mice's genomes and DNA structure in 3D and virtual reality. All kinds of trucks with Utopia logo moving throughout the world, a truck that has Utopia and Forever Young logo driving in the street of New York, another truck driving in the street of Barcelona, truck number 3 driving in the street of London, truck number 4 moving in the street of Tokyo, etc. Fabian's lab, Fabian conducting experiment, rechecking the result, writing codes and compiling the program, etc. Employees stacking medicines, Forever Young, on the counters at CVS, Rite Aid and all kinds of supermarkets and pharmacy throughout the world. Fabian's lab, Fabian continues to conduct the experiment. Millions of people around the world grabbing medicines, Forever Young, from the shelves. Clerks at the registry scanning the products. People paying with cashes, checks, and credit cards, etc. Int. New York Stock Exchange, Day. Trading floor, we see stockbrokers buying stocks and selling stocks by billions, bells ringing right and left, business chaos, etc. Int. New York Stock Closing Bell, Sunset. An actress named Jennifer, 25, rings nicely, New York Stock Exchange, closing bell. Standing in the balcony, Lucifer and his entourages applaud. Int. Lucifer's mansion, living room, night. The house is a palace. A big party is in progress. Through arriving guests, we pick up Fabian. There are people standing with drinks and conversing. Fabian walks through the crowd. Pan to Lucifer. Lucifer converses with Dr. Gary Knight. Dr. Gary Knight, life tends to go from order to disorder. Our cells have the ability to duplicate and replace themselves. Each time our cells divide, the DNA molecule makes a new copy of itself. Then at some point, errors occur. The errors accumulate. They interfere with the copying process. That's why we get old and die. But now we can use quantum programming and create advanced codes that map human genome and correct each error. It's as good as forever young, except this will keep us young for eternity. Lucifer, I like the sound of eternity. Dr. Gary Knight, the project is underway. We just need financial support. Lucifer, how much are we talking about? Dr. Gary Knight, $200 billion. Lucifer, I'll take care of it. Lucifer shakes his hand and walks away. Pan to Primus and 3 models. Primus talks to 3 attractive models. Model 1, who created all these countless stars in the skies, and species that have lived on Earth? Are we the product of evolution as Charles Darwin proposed, or did God create the universe? Model 2, humorously I think Primus created everything. He's a god. To Primus, we are told you are one of the smartest persons in the world. I saw you on the cover of Time magazine. Tell us, is time travel possible? Primus, to travel through time you have to break the speed of light, but the question is, what is time, is it illusion? Model 3, is it? Primus sees Fabian. Primus, time is indeed illusion, however, impossible to distinguish it with reality, which itself deception of space. But don't worry, ladies. You wild things can model till the age of 400. They all laugh moderately. Primus, excuse me for a second. Primus excuses the girls and walks up to Fabian. Primus, hey. Fabian, what's up? Primus, nothing much. They shake hands and hug friendly. Primus, come on. Let me introduce you to a couple of supermodels. Primus takes Fabian to the girls. Primus, ladies, I want you to meet Fabian. Mr. Forever Young himself. Fabian, hi. Fabian gives Model 1 his hand to shake. She takes his hand. Model 1, Monica. Model 2 gives him her hand. Model 2, Jenna. He takes her hand. They shake hands, greeting. Model 3, Serena. He greets all of them. Primus, humorously we were talking about the biggest questions of life. They saw me on the cover of Time magazine and think I am one of the smartest persons alive, and want to know what the purpose of life is. Model 1, and where do we go after we die? Model 2, will robots replace human in the future? Model 3, are there parallel universes? Primus, I am going to answer as much as I can. I don't like letting beautiful girls down. There is life after death. But it's not proven by science. The Bible says, if you do good in this life, you'll go to heaven after you die and live for eternity. We will take anything that promise any form of existence after death and eternal salvation of the soul. Will robots replace humans in the future? Robots might be the future of human evolution. Scientists are designing robots that think for themselves and give them the power to learn new things. Are there parallel universes? All kinds of multiple universes concepts have been proposed. Including parallel universes that exist in the same space and time with our universe. There could be universes right next to ours. Yet they are so far, light hasn't reached us. But give technology 2 or 3 years, new satellites will help us discover universes that have planets, moons, stars, and galaxies, just like ours. But ladies, excuse us. I have to talk to him alone. Primus kisses them on the cheeks. Primus and Fabian walk toward the bar. Primus, what are you really saying? Fabian, I think the drug might have side effect. Primus, what side effect? Fabian, something with the reproductive system. They come up to the bar. Primus, to the bartender give me a scotch. Johnny Walker Blue Label. Fabian, I'll have the same. Pan to Julia Cisco. An attractive girl named Julia Cisco converses with a young man named Jimmy. We don't hear what they are saying due to the music on the sound system. She turns her eyes and looks at Fabian. Fabian catches her eyes. She gives him a soft beautiful smile. Fabian returns her smile courteously, and turns his attention back to Primus. Primus, are you saying it causes infertility? The bartender pours scotch into 2 separate glasses and places their drinks in front of them. Fabian and Primus grab their drinks and walk up to the nearest table. Fabian, I'm not 100% sure. I'll check the result tomorrow. Fabian continues to check out Julia. She gives him another soft beautiful smile. Then out of nowhere comes a girl named Cressida, 32, to Fabian and Primus. Primus, hey, sexy love. Cressida, what's up? Cressida and Primus hug and kiss on the cheeks. Cressida, to Fabian hi, lover boy. Fabian, under his breath hi. Cressida and Fabian kiss on the cheeks. Cressida, what are you guys up to? Primus, speaking of the devil. We were just talking about you. You know, how you reinvented the art of seduction. Cressida, what art of seduction you guys are talking about? Primus, your sense of style. It's beyond this solar system. You're light years ahead of everyone. They all smile moderately. Cressida, I think Fabian disagree with you. He doesn't believe I'm all that. Fabian, it's not true. I think you're one of the sexiest women alive. Cressida, one of the sexiest women does not mean the raciest, it could mean number 10, 20, or 100. And I hate the idea being even second to anything. And think is an opinion that leaves a lot of room for doubts. What do you just state the fact? Fabian, okay. If you put it down like that, I'll speak the truth, and nothing but the truth. Cressida, playing along so, help you God. Fabian, 5 rule to steal your heart, 1, don't get near her before you kiss a rose. 2, live to please her. 3, thou shalt not sigh with lungs but heart. Speak no lie, 4. Above everything and number 5, always remember she is to die for. Cressida, what is 5 rules and to die for? I am not a 10th grader that you kiss in an empty classroom. I thought you were Casanova. Fabian, it only means you are an enchanting sin that tricks the heart. Love is nothing but lust, characterized by unquenchable desire that the gods designed urge on the shape of your lips, and seed the secret of life into them, which gives you a reason to take a breath away just with a kiss, or rather rob a soul eternal life, and replace it with the sweetest bliss. And you would do it with French kiss, so there will be nothing left in heaven and earth that you might miss. She is a little bit taken by the compliment, but plays it cool. Cressida, nobody is better than you when it comes to turning on the charm. But let me remind you this. Gets closer and kisses Fabian on the lips, a kiss is worth more than eternal life in heaven. French kiss is better than sex. Yet the latter can wait, till you figure out what I'm all about. They all smile moderately. Fabian turns his eyes and catches Julia's eyes, who continues to check him out while pretending to be in conversation with Jimmy. On the soundtrack, music plays. Fabian, Cressida and Primus continue to mingle. We don't hear what they are saying due to the music on the soundtrack. We then pull out from the room dexterously. EXT Lucifer's mansion, terrace, night. Millions of sparkling stars, bright glorious moon, spectacular view of New York City. Julia stands in the terrace with a glass of red wine, looking at the stars. Out of nowhere comes Fabian and stands next to her. Fabian, don't you wish sometime you could reach the sky and collect the stars? Julia, I don't know anything about collecting stars from the skies. I am told stars are made mostly of hydrogen and helium. If you try to touch them, the energy released by the stars will leave everlasting marks on your hand. Fabian, assume everything they taught you is a lie. Stars are actually angels disguised as bright objects made of the finest carbon structure, billions times radiant than the purest diamonds. They fall out of the skies when people fall in love at sight. Yet the question is, would you still look at the heavens the same, if your heart is lighter than a dandelion and brighter than the nearest star? Julia, the nearest star to Earth beside the Sun is Proxima Centauri. It's 4.24 light-years from Earth. I don't know if I can wait that long. Fabian, assume Earth is the only planet in the universe that supports life, and stars are driven by throbbing nuclear reactions. I'll risk everlasting marks on my hand, collect each one of them, rearrange their constellation in the image of you, and worship you from here to eternity. For thou art the most beautiful girl in the universe. Julia, thanks for the compliment. That's the best pickup line I've heard for a while. Fabian, who was the guy that you were talking to? Julia, Jimmy, he's a friend. Fabian, I'm Fabian. He gives her his hand to shake. Julia, Julia. She takes his hand, greeting. He kisses her hand with the side of his lips with style. She can't help smiling. Fabian, would you like to take a walk in the garden? I was told Mr. Lucifer has the best garden in the world, literally. Julia, sure. They walk toward the entrance, at the direction of the camera. EXT Lucifer's mansion, garden, night. Fabian is not lying. It is one of the most breathtaking gardens we have ever seen in our lives. A pond with swans, sculptures, water fountains, a garden that consists of gorgeous roses, orchids, tulips, carnation, etc. There is a big water fountain with the statue of Aphrodite. Fabian and Julia take a walk in the rose garden where a superb fountain is located, with the statue of 2 young lovers and Cupid carrying a bow and an arrow. Fabian, what do you do? Julia, I work for NYC Advertisement Agency. We're responsible for Forever Young ad. I actually came up with the idea. Fabian, that's a great ad. Julia, thanks. What about you? What is your occupation? Fabian, I'm a scientist. I invented Forever Young. Julia, you can't be serious. Fabian, what do you mean I can't be serious? Julia, how old are you, 20? Fabian, I'm 32. Julia, you look a kid. You can easily pass as 18. I thought you are still in high school. Fabian, that is what everybody keeps saying. There is nothing I can do about it. Julia, regardless, you're too young to be a scientist. Scientists are usually old. And they look nerds. But you look handsome, sounds romantic. And you are way too cool. What's your secret, did you take Forever Young? Fabian, no, I'm always like this, exercise a lot. Julia, I bet you can create a heart in the lab and make it fall in love with you. He smiles in wonder. Fabian, I'll tell you this. I can create millions of things that keep people young and gorgeous forever, and the actual life itself in the lab. But I'll never create anything that's beautiful and sexy as you in a billion years. You are the cradle of love created once before Genesis, and can never be duplicated in eternity. Julia, you're a player. Fabian, I'm not a player at all. I'm only a man whose heart skips beats when he sees a beautiful girl and falls in love with love. They stand lips to lips. Julia, tell me about it. Fabian, softly down by her lips. I can die on your lips at this moment, and forget I have ever existed at all. They kiss. Julia then parts her lips. Julia, humorously, let's not rush things. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. I'm not a girl who takes advantage on a guy who gets all the girls. Fabian, playing along, I respect that. They kiss more passionately. Julia then part her lips. Talking between soft kisses. Julia, I'm starving. Soft kisses. They have all those weird seafood, knobbed whelk. Soft kisses, sea asparagus and sheep's head. Soft kisses. I didn't touch anything. Let's get some real food. Soft luscious kisses. Are you hungry? Fabian, under his breath, yes, I am. They kiss French. On the soundtrack, music comes. We pull out as Fabian and Julia continue to kiss in the spellbinding garden. Montage, New York City in the night. A quick take of New York City, satellite view of New York City from space, Midtown Manhattan, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, United Nations headquarters, Unisphere in Queens, aerial view of New York City in the night, millions of cars driving in the streets of New York City and many more. EXT/int. Fabian's Mercedes convertible, moving, night. Fabian is behind the wheel. Julia is in the passenger seat. They are driving in the streets of New York City. On the soundtrack, music continues to play. Fabian and Julia are talking, but we don't hear what they are saying due to the music on the soundtrack. EXT supermarket, night. An established shot of a supermarket. Two security guards stand at the entrance, securing the store. Mercedes convertible, Fabian and Julia come driving and park the car in front of the supermarket. They get out of the car and walk toward the supermarket. Fabian greets the guards with a nod. The doors open automatically. Fabian and Julia enter. Int. Supermarket, night. It is a real supermarket. We see all kinds of items that we see in regular supermarkets, like Target and Walmart. Yet there is not a single soul in the store. Fabian and Julia grab a cart and move down the aisles. Julia pushes the cart. Julia, do you own this place? Fabian smiles softly, which means he does. Julia, it's crazy. I've never met anyone who owns a supermarket for personal use. Fabian, I made a lot of money from Forever Young. I gave away most of it. I was still left with a lot of money. I thought if I bought a supermarket, it'd save me a lot of time. You know, humorously, I don't have to go to a supermarket and wait in a line. Julia, this is unbelievable. Julia looks around more. There are a lot of stuffs. Julia, you don't really need all these things, do you? Fabian, no, I don't. There are card holders, members who love to spend a lot of money. And I've also people who sell them online, and give the money to charities, and donate the foods to various non-profit organizations before they expire. Julia, that's a kind of you. They walk down the alias and come to the movie section. Julia, you have movies too. Fabian, yeah. What do you want to watch? Action, comedy, drama? Julia, let me see, what you got? They walk up to the classic movie section. Julia, Casablanca. Double Indemnity. Vertigo. Gone with the Wind. The Wizard of Oz. I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. The Maltese Falcon. She grabs the Maltese Falcon. Julia, let's buy this. The Maltese Falcon. I heard it's one of the best movies ever made. Fabian, it's based on the novel of The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. Directed by John Huston, starring Humphrey Bogart as private investigator Sam Spade and Mary Astor as his femme fatale client. It was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. Best Picture, Sidney Greenstreet for Best Supporting Actor, and John Huston for Best Adapted Screenplay. Julia, humorously, you sound like Wikipedia. Fabian smiles softly. He cuddles her with one arm and kisses her on the side of her lips. On the soundtrack, music comes. They continue to shop, grabbing all kinds of stuffs and putting them in the cart. EXT Fabian's villa, night. An established shot of Fabian's multi-million-dollar villa. We see a beautiful garden, swimming pool, a water fountain, and tennis court. Int. Fabian's villa, kitchen, night. It is a luxurious kitchen. Fabian and Julia cook, chicken tetrazzini. On the soundtrack, music continues to play. Fabian and Julia talk between soft kisses while cooking. Fabian and Julia then dance slow. Int. Fabian's villa, living room, later. Fabian and Julia sit at the dinner table, enjoying a bottle of wine and chicken tetrazzini that they just made, while watching the Maltese Falcon. Julia, life expectancy without Forever Young is 85 to 90. Life expectancy with Forever Young could reach up to 500 years. Yet there are more stars in the universe than all the grains of sands in Earth. Some scientists believe the actual cosmos is infinite. Someday, we'll populate the universe and go beyond the observable universe and inhabit the multiverse and so on. But what I'm interested is, can you make a drug that genuinely keep us forever young, for millions of years? Fabian, it's possible. The rate I'm deeply falling in love with you, faster than the speed of light. I can create anything. Julia smiles in beauty. Julia, anyway. Why do I feel like I've known you my whole life? Fabian, maybe, I was a king in the past life. You were a queen. In fact, you were the most beautiful woman in the world. I was nobody, just a rebel soul. I killed a notorious king, who took pleasure of your pain, declared myself a king, and married you. Julia, that's romantic. But the scripture says, thou shalt not kill. Fabian, he was a ruthless king. He killed a lot of innocent people, and took you as his wife without your approval. I was in love with you. I just couldn't help but to kill him and marry you. Julia, is that the end of the story? Fabian, no. He raised from dead through a witchcraft. We were in love unconditionally. He came to kill us. I had to kill him twice. She smiles in beauty. Julia, seductively just make love to me. I am horny as Cleopatra. Out of nowhere, she produces her underwear and throws at him. Int. Fabian's villa, bedroom, night. Fabian and Julia make love. It is sensual, steamy, seductive, and passionate. We stay with them in series cuts. EXT Fabian's villa, morning. An established shot of Fabian's house as the sun rises in a beautiful twilight. EXT Fabian's house, bedroom, morning. Julia sleeps curled on Fabian's chest. Fabian, who is awake, looks at Julia as if she were the most beautiful soul ever, sleeping beauty. He then slowly pulls his arm from Julia, kisses her on the lips, gets up from the bed, and walks toward the camera. Int. Fabian's villa, bathroom, morning. Fabian takes a shower. Int. Fabian's villa, kitchen and breakfast room, morning. Fabian opens the refrigerator, takes out a Diet Coke, opens it, and pours the soda in a bowl of cereal. Fabian puts the can on the counter, grabs his cereal, walks up to the breakfast room and sits at the breakfast table. He turns on the TV and eats his breakfast while watching TV. On the TV, they are showing the picture of Dorian Gray, starring George Sanders and Herd Hatfield. Fabian has 2 more spoons, turns off the TV, gets up with the bowl, and walks up to the kitchen. Fabian places the bowl in the sink, grabs a glass from the drawer, fills the glass with water, from a futuristic water machine, and drinks the water. Fabian puts the glass on the counter and walks toward the direction of the camera. EXT/int. Fabian's Mercedes convertible, moving, morning. Fabian drives in the streets of New York City. On the soundtrack, music plays. Int. Science Experiment Center, Fabian's lab, day. Fabian looks at the mice. The first mice groups that didn't take the drug, forever young, have 10 kids. The second mice groups that took the drug have no kids. Fabian checks their reproductive genome structures in his new advanced holograph image and 3D computer, and discovers that forever young has side effect. It causes infertility. Int. Coffee shop, day. Fabian and Primus sit in a box with coffee while discussing about the drug. Fabian, it causes infertility. We have to tell them and stop the production till we find the solution. Primus, I don't know, Fabian. This is a $quadrillion business. Even if we tell them it causes death, they're not going to pull out the product. They'll do anything to conceal the truth. Fabian, it's our responsibility. We created the drug. We must inform FDA as soon as possible. FDA will shut them down. Fabian and Primus continue to talk. We dexterously pull out of the restaurant. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Midtown Manhattan, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, aerial view of New York City and others. EXT Forever Young Headquarter, day. An established shot of Forever Young Headquarter. It is a 125-story building. We see a huge sign of that says, Forever Young on the top of the building. EXT Forever Young Headquarter, Lucifer's office, day. It looks like a deluxe living room. It has a huge fireplace, a coffee table, super comfortable sofas, desk, private bar, etc. Lucifer stands by the window, looking at the spectacular view of New York City through the glass. The phone rings. Lucifer turns around, walks up to his desk, and picks it up. He listens without responding and hangs up the phone. EXT Fabian's villa, day. We see cops, hundreds of media personalities, TV vans, police cars, paramedics, paparazzi, and bystanders moving in chaos. Fabian's Mercedes. Fabian comes driving and parks his car in front of his house. The paparazzi and journalists quickly rush to Fabian's car and begin to ask him all kinds of questions as soon as he gets out of the car, flashing camera lights. Journalist 1, a girl named Julia Cisco is found dead in your house. Did you kill her? Journalist 2, this is the crime of the century. Do you know who might have killed her? Journalist 3, why did you kill her? Journalist 4, did you do this before? The cops push the paparazzi aside and let Fabian enter into his house. Int. Fabian's villa, living room, day. Fabian comes up to the living room. Detective John Wyatt walks up to him. John, hi. I'm Detective Wyatt. NYPD homicide. John shows Fabian his badge. Fabian, what's going on? John, the housekeeper found the body of Miss Cisco in the bedroom 10:10 a.m. and called 911. She was stabbed multiple times. We haven't confirmed the time of her death yet. We got here around 10:45 am. But the forensics think she's killed within 3 hours. Where were you between 7 am to 10 am? Fabian, I got up 7 am this morning. She was still sleeping. I took a shower, ate breakfast, and left the house around 7:30 am. I drove to my lab in Manhattan and discovered that Forever Young that I invented causes infertility. I then went to Tiffany coffee shop around 9 am and met my friend Primus. We talked about the drug for 30 minutes so. I left the coffee shop around 10 am and returned to the lab to gather all the facts. Then the police called me on my cell phone 11:30 p.m. that they found the body of Julia Cisco in my house. I drove here as fast as I can. John, we'll ask you a couple of questions as soon as we finish gathering all the evidence, until then sit tight. When John is about to walk away. Fabian, wait. Can I go to the room and see it myself? John looks at him weird. John, be my guest. John and Fabian climb the staircase and walk toward the bedroom, down by the corridor. Int. Fabian's villa, main bedroom, day. The dead body of Julia lies on the bed. The blanket is drenched with Julia's blood. Detective Angelina Oliaris, 33, and forensic team Luke and Jody are in the middle of collecting evidence. Forensic photographer, Toby, takes photos of Julia's corpse. Fabian and John walk in. Fabian looks at the body of Julia, sharp pain deep in his soul. He quickly turns around and exits from the room. Corridor. Fabian stands in the corridor with broken heart. John walks up to him. John, do you know who could have killed her? Fabian, no I don't. John, do you mind if I take your fingerprint? I'm just going to scan it. Fabian, sure. John takes Fabian's fingerprint with futuristic digital AFS, advanced fingerprint scanner. Corridor and bedroom. John returns to the bedroom and gives Fabian's fingerprint result, the AFS, to Angelina. She places a disc in the AFS, runs the evidence and matches Fabian's fingerprint. Angelina gives John a nod to arrest Fabian. Corridor. John comes up to Fabian. John, we found your fingerprint on the murder weapon. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Do you understand these rights? John cuffs Fabian. Int. NYPD, interrogation room, day. Angelina and John question Fabian. Angelina, did you kill Julia Cisco? Fabian, no I did not. John, so, how did your fingerprint end up on the murder weapon? Fabian, I don't know. I think someone is trying to frame me. I just discovered that Forever Young causes infertility. I told my friend Primus. John, cut him off. Are you saying Mr. Primus killed Miss Cisco? Fabian, no I don't think so. But he might have told to people who have close ties with Forever Young. Int. NYPD, interrogation room, viewing room, and hallway, day. Captain Washington and District Attorney Ted Parker watch the interrogation through the glass window. Fabian's lawyer Kevin Grant appears in the hallway, carrying a briefcase. Kevin, hey, Ted. Ted, hi. They shake hands, greeting. Kevin, where is my client? Ted, he's inside. He seems guilty as the devil. Kevin, I had better have few words with him. Ted, that's a good idea. Kevin opens the door. Int. NYPD, interrogation room, day. Kevin enters. Angelina and John look at him. Kevin, I'm sorry for interruption. Kevin Grant. I'm Mr. Christian's lawyer. Kevin gives them his hand to shake. They don't bother to shake his hand, as if they want to let him know it's personal. Angelina, have a seat. Kevin puts his briefcase on the table and sits next to his client. John to Fabian, why don't you just tell us the truth? You killed her. Kevin, interrupting them, excuse me. Am I missing something here? My client didn't do it. First of all, he doesn't have to say anything to you. The Fifth Amendment protects the people of United States from the government. The amendment holds that an individual cannot be forced to give evidence against himself as a witness. Angelina, we have his fingerprint on the murder weapon. Kevin, I'm sorry. That doesn't prove anything. Anybody can plant fingerprints on a murder weapon. You might have watched this movie called I Spy, just came out this year. They took an innocent man's a congressman fingerprint, who is running for president, and placed his fingerprint on the murder weapon, and framed him for the death of his mistress, so he could lose the election. John, excuse us, Mr. Grant. But this is not a movie. It's reality. He's looking at life without parole. Kevin, we will see about that. John, it's a cold-blooded murder. He stabbed the girl multiple times as if he saw a witch. Kevin, he didn't do it. Angelina, we just want him to tell us what really happened. Kevin, he has nothing to say. If you are going to charge him, go ahead. Give us the paperwork. Otherwise don't fucking waste my client time. He is innocent. Int. Police Station, New York City, day. Mug shots of Fabian. Left, right, center. Montage. We see Fabian on all kinds of news coverage. CNN News, we see the video of Fabian on the TV. A female reporter Anna reports the story from CNN headquarters. Anna, TV, the inventor of Forever Young billionaire Fabian Christian. CBS News, we see the video of Fabian giving presentation. A male reporter Richard Cooper addresses the news from CBS headquarters. Richard, TV Fabian Christian. ABC News, a female reporter Grace addressing the news from ABC headquarters. Grace, TV the inventor of Forever Young Fabian Christian. NBC News, a male reporter James Stewart addressing the news from NBC headquarters. James, TV one of the most gifted man in the world. The inventor of Forever Young Fabian Christian is charged for the murder of Julia Cisco. Fox News, a female reporter Rebecca addressing the news from Fox headquarters. Rebecca, there was controversy earlier this week. Mr. Christian was booked and let go only with a summons to appear at court. BBC News, we see the video of Fabian on the TV. A male reporter Terry Arthur addresses the news from BBC headquarters. Terry, TV Mr. Christian will appear at the courtroom today for bail hearing. Front page newspaper. Headline reads, the inventor of Forever Young Fabian Christian is charged for the murder of Julia Cisco. On the front page. There is the photo of Fabian. EXT courthouse, day. We see journalists, bystanders, cops, paparazzi, and others gathered around. It's a real media event. Fabian's limo pulls up to the courthouse. The many spectators and reporters surround the car. Fabian and his new lawyer Seth Penn emerge from the limo, and start walking up the courthouse steps. Microphones and cameras are thrust at Fabian. Reporters ask Fabian all kinds of questions. Male reporter, did you kill Julia Cisco? Fabian says nothing. Male reporter 2, do you know if you are found guilty, you could spend the rest of your life behind bars? Male reporter 3, why did you do it? Female reporter 4, are you a bloodthirsty killer? Fabian and Seth shove their way through the crowd. Int. Courthouse, day. Fabian and Seth stand before the judge at the arraignment. Judge, Fabian Christian, you have been accused of murder of Julia Cisco. How do you plead? Fabian, not guilty. Judge, okay. Bail is set at $300 million. The judge slams his gavel. EXT New York City, courthouse, day. Fabian walks out, free on bond, to find Cressida waiting for him. She is standing next to her BMW convertible. Cressida, what's up? Fabian, nothing much. Cressida, what's the verdict? Fabian, not guilty. BMW convertible. Cressida opens the passenger door for Fabian who seems calm as Sunday morning. Fabian gets in the passenger seat and closes the door. Cressida walks around the car and enters behind the wheel. She starts the car, and they drive away. Int. BMW convertible, moving, day. Close up, Fabian and Cressida. There is a silent moment. He then. Fabian, I'm skipping bail and planning to go to Europe. I need you to help me. Cressida says nothing. Fabian, I just want to disappear for a while. Cressida, don't sweat it. I can arrange something. She gives him a soft sweet smile. EXT BMW convertible, moving, day. An established shot of BMW convertible with Fabian and Cressida as they continue to drive in the street of New York City. We then take it with overhead shot. Montage, Paris. A satellite view of Paris from space, the Eiffel Tower, Café Les Deux Magots and Saint-Germain-des-Prés, skyscrapers of La Défense, Notre Dame de Paris, the city of Paris in the night, panoramic view of the Isle Saint-Fabien as the sun rises, the Place de la Concorde, Avenue des Champs-Élysées in the middle of the day, Seine River, Paris bridges and others. EXT/int. Zenvo convertible, moving, day. Black Zenvo ST1 convertible, Fabian drives in the street of Paris. He steps on the gas. The car speeds down the road. EXTLE veritable amour restaurant, day. Fabian sits in the pop with a glass of red wine, reading The Fabric of the Cosmos, Space, Time and the Texture of Reality by Brian Greene. Int. Louvre, day. Fabian visits paintings and sculptures, The Shepherds of Arcadia by Poussin, Venus de Milo, the Nike of Samothrace, Winged Victory, Romanesque architecture from France, Saint Michael and the Devil, 12th century, Saint Francis receiving the Stigmata by Giotto, The Annunciation by Rogier van der Weyden, The Pietà of Villeneuve-les-Avignon by Ingrid Quardin, Portrait of an Old Man and His Grandson by Ghirlandaio, The Moneylenders by Quentin Massys, Baltasar da Castiglione by Raphael, The Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, etc. Int. Louvre, later. Fabian looks at a girl who looks exactly like Julia Cisco. She is looking at Antonio Canova's Psyche revived by Cupid's kiss. Fabian can't believe what he is looking at. Is she Julia? No, it can't be. She is a ghost. Maybe someone who looks exactly like her. Fabian walks up to her. Fabian, Julia? The girl, what do you want? Fabian, is your name Julia Cisco? She nods, yes. Fabian, I don't mean to be rude. But can I see your ID? Just to make sure who you are. Julia, why? Are you a cop? Fabian, no, I'm not. I was accused of killing a girl named Julia Cisco. She looks exactly like you. She looks at him in confusion. Julia, what are you trying to say? Fabian, I feel like I'm daydreaming. You look and sound just like her. In fact, she is you. Julia looks at his eyes for 3 seconds. He seems harmless. As a matter of fact, she is submitted by him, couldn't take her eyes off him. Julia, does that pickup line really work on girls? Fabian, I swear it's not a pickup line. I'm a fugitive, wrongfully accused of murdering you. Julia, now, you're scaring me. I don't know whether to scream, or wait for you to say something sweet. My instinct tells me he's so cute. He can't even hurt a fly. Fabian, why don't we sit and talk? I'll explain everything to you. Julia, that sounds good. Montage, Louvre, paintings and sculptures. The Fortune Teller by Caravaggio, Charles I at the Hunt by Van Dyck, The Lace Maker by Vermeer, Infanta Maria Margareta by Velázquez. The Shepherds of Arcadia by Poussin, Diana bathing by Boucher, The Bather, Ingres, Rebellious Slave by Michelangelo, The Crucifixion by Paolo Veronese, Liberty Leading the People by Delacroix, etc. Int. Bar and restaurant, night. Fabian and Julia sit at a table with glasses of red wines. There are a couple of customers enjoying their outings. On the stage, a girl named Rita sings in French. Fabian, we cooked and made love. The next morning, I went to my lab to see the result, and found out forever young causes infertility. I spoke to my friend about the result. Later, the police called me and told me someone killed you. I came to the house and saw your dead body. The police said they found my fingerprint on the murder weapon and charged me with your murder. I posted $300 million bail, skipped the bail, came to Paris, and ran into you. Your passport says your name is Julia Cisco. She looks at him like he can't be serious. I know it sounds crazy. You don't have to believe me if you don't want to. But help me. The authorities are looking for me. Julia, that's one of the most unbelievable stories I've ever heard. First, I don't work for New York Advertisement Agency. I work for Aphrodite, a fashion magazine. I'm here to interview Johan Menez, an upcoming young fashion designer. Second, I don't know how you found out my name. Were you stalking me? Fabian, no, I wasn't. I'm not good at it. Julia, that's what I thought too. Off his look. But you're definitely handsome. I could fall in love with you in a heartbeat. Fabian, thanks. When you planning to go back to New York City? So, I can tell them that you're alive. Julia, I'm scheduled to do the interview on Sunday. If you're really telling me the truth, we can leave on Monday, and straighten out all these mix-up together. Fabian, Monday is good. On the soundtrack, music comes. EXT airplane, flying, day. An airplane flies in the sky. Int. Airplane, flying, day. Fabian and Julia sit in first class, sipping champagnes while conversing. We don't hear what they are saying due to the music on the soundtrack. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Times Square, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, aerial view of New York City, millions of cars moving in the streets of New York City and others. Int. New York City, Central Park, day. Sitting at a bench, Fabian shows Julia a bunch of newspapers, magazines, and tabloids that cover the murder of Julia Cisco. Headline. A girl was found brutally murdered at the house of forever young inventor Fabian Christian. Did billionaire Fabian Christian kill Julia Cisco, or is it a conspiracy theory? The inventor of forever young Fabian Christian is charged for the murder of Julia Cisco. Time magazine, a young scientist Fabian Christian flee the country after he was charged for killing a young woman named Julia Cisco. We see photos of Fabian and Julia on magazines, newspapers, tabloids, etc. Int. NYPD police station, lobby, day. A typical police station, NYPD, lobby activity, officers walking up and down, standing and talking, criminals, cuffed, being taken to be booked. Fabian and Julia walk in. They come up to the main circulation desk where Officer James and Officer Sophia is it. Fabian, hi, my name is Fabian. I'm here to see Detective Leiris, or Detective Wyatt. Pan 2, Elevator 1. The elevator doors open, revealing Angelina. She looks at Fabian. Fabian sees her as well. Angelina quickly draws her gun and points it at Fabian as she approaches him. Angelina, freeze, motherfucker. Fabian puts his hands in the air respectfully. Angelina, get down with your knees and put your hands behind your head. Fabian, wait. I came with the girl whom I'm wrongfully accused of killing. Angelina, shut the fuck up. Get down with your knees and put your hands behind your head before I bury a bullet between your eyes. Fabian gets down with his knees and puts his hands behind his head. Angelina takes out her cuff, places his hands behind and cuffs him. She grabs his arm and pulls him up. Fabian stands with his feet. Fabian, give me a chance to explain. I came with the girl that you think I killed. Julia Cisco. It's her. Angelina, Jack. Book her for harboring a wanted criminal. Officer Jack, who is pointing his gun at Fabian, puts his gun in his holster, takes out his cuff and walks up to Julia. Julia, wait a minute. I didn't do anything. Jack, it's not personal. But you're under arrest for harboring a wanted fugitive. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Jack cuffs her hands and takes her away to book her. Angelina escorts Fabian to the detention center, 2 separate direction. Close up, Fabian and Angelina. Fabian, you are making a big mistake. Angeline, you already made the biggest mistake of your life, skipping bail and fleeing the country. You're going to spend the rest of your life behind bars. Fabian, why don't you listen to me? Julia Cisco is alive. Angeline, unless you're willing to give us full confession, we're going to lock you till the trial date. We don't give a fuck if you're a zillionaire. Fabian, never mind. Just let me make a phone call. I want to speak to my lawyer. Angelina, you should have thought about that before you walked in. You can't be the inventor of something unbelievable, and dumb at the same time. Fabian, I'm innocent. You can't do this to me. Angelina, mockingly, Jack the Ripper is innocent too. But still, I have to hand to you for inventing Forever Young. My father has been taking it for a while. It's amazing. He looks 25 years younger than he was a year ago. Fabian, I'm sorry to tell you this. But the drug has side effect. It causes infertility. Tell your father and people that you know, to stop taking it. Angelina, he's not planning to have children anytime soon. But I'll tell him. I don't mind having a couple of brothers and sisters myself. I will go to their weddings with you as my date. A beat, just give me a confession. I'm not going to hold it against you. Fabian, what confession? Angelina, tell me everything from the beginning, how you committed the crime and why you committed it. Fabian, how can I confess of something that I didn't do? The girl is alive. You saw her. Angelina, we'll come to that in a minute. But now let's talk about the real Julia Cisco. Why did you kill her? Fabian, I didn't kill her. Angelina continues to escort Fabian down the police station as we pull out dexterously. Int. NYPD, interrogation room, day. Fabian sits at the interrogation table. His lawyer Seth is present. Angelina walks into the interrogation room. Angelina, okay. Your client is saying Julia Cisco is alive? Seth, yes, he is. Angelina, I want you to follow me. We are going to the morgue. They all exit from the interrogation room. Int. NYPD, morgue, night. Angelina, Dr. Jacobson, Fabian, and Seth come to the morgue. Julia's crypt. Dr. Jacobson opens the door, slides out the pallet and pulls down the sheet. Fabian's heart stops in deep sadness. It is Julia Cisco. His lawyer looks at the corpse of Julia, and turns his eyes away in defeat. Angelina gives Dr. Jacobson a nod. Dr. Jacobson slides the pallet back into the crypt, and closes the door. Int. New York State Prison, Fabian's cell, day. It is a unique modern cell. It has a study table. Fabian sits at the table, reading Superstring Theory by Michael B. Green, John H. Swartz, Edward Whitten. Narrator, voiceover. There are 11 dimensions of space-time, 7 higher dimensions plus the 4 common dimensions. The 11-dimensional theory unites all 5 10-dimensional string theories and supersedes them. Int. New York State Prison, Library, day. Fabian continues to read Superstring Theory, Volume 2, Loop Amplitudes, Anomalies and Phenomenology by Michael B. Green, John H. Swartz, Edward Whitten. On the table, we see Matrix Universes by Kevin Smith, The Dancing Particles, Majestic Time and Space, and The Invisible Cosmos by Robert Jones, Warped Passages, Unraveling the Mysteries of the Universe's Hidden Dimensions by Lisa Rendell. The Elegant Universe, Superstrings, Hidden Dimensions and the Quest for the Ultimate Theory, The Hidden Reality, Parallel Universes and the Deep Laws of the Cosmos, and The Fabric of the Cosmos, Space, Time and the Texture of Reality by Brian Greene and others. Narrator, a string is an abstract vibe, and the building block of everything there is. How they vibrate determine the shape of each matter. Each string is coded with universal order. And if we look at strings at the profoundest and the most fundamental point of their structure, they will lead us to quantum universes and hidden dimensional of space and time. Fabian closes Superstring Theory, Volume 2, Loop Amplitudes, Anomalies and Phenomenology and opens The Hidden Reality, Parallel Universes and the Deep Laws of the Cosmos by Brian Greene and reads it. Narrator, yet motion through space and the passage of time are illusion. There is no distinguish between the past, the present and the future. They exist concurrently. Int. New York State Prison, Library, day. Fabian closes The Hidden Reality, Parallel Universes and the Deep Laws of the Cosmos and opens Quantum Space-Time and the Forbidden Gates of Parallel Universe by Lewis Clyde and reads it. Narrator, and according to quantum mechanics, space and time actually exist in quantum state. We can't determine what the actual time is, and where and when an event took place. For example, in the game of football, the second half happens before the first half, or the first quarter happens at the fourth quarter, and the second quarter happens in the third quarter, all the possible combinations. Yet once we measure them, we get 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters in sequence. And the farther we measure them, all 4 quarters actually happen simultaneously. If we close our eyes and imagine, we'd see hidden dimensions where the ball goes through one invisible dimension and comes out another hidden dimension, like teleportation. Fabian closes the book. All of a sudden, he sees all kinds of hidden dimensions. He gets up and walks through the thin air, hidden dimension, and comes to Manhattan, New York City. EXT New York City, Manhattan, day. Fabian looks around. He doesn't really know what it is going on. But after he has read all those books, he thinks there is explanation for everything. Fabian looks at his prison cloth that he is wearing, and scans around. It is New York City. People dress in all kinds of fashion clothes. He can easily blend with them. Fabian pulls out a futuristic super watch out of the thin air magically and puts it on. The watch has all kinds of featuring, clock within a clock, camera, video, internet, etc. Fabian then walks down the sidewalk, crosses the street, and comes to an ATM machine. On the soundtrack, music plays. EXT New York City, Manhattan, ATM machine, day. Fabian withdraws a couple of cashes, turns and looks around. There is Armani fashion store across the street. Fabian walks toward the store. Int. Armani fashion store, day. Note, we'll see Fabian trying all kinds of fashion clothes and serious cut. Fabian stands in front of the mirror, wearing a white suit and white shoes. Cut to. Fabian stands in front of the camera, wearing stylish fashion outfit and shoes. Cut to. Fabian stands in front of the camera, wearing three-piece suit with a tie. Cut to. Fabian stands in front of the mirror, wearing black suit, etc. EXT Manhattan, Armani fashion store, day. Fabian exits from the store, wearing the latest Armani suit. He waves his hand for a taxi. A taxi stops next to Fabian. EXT taxi, day. Fabian opens the door and gets in the back seat. The taxi drives away. Int. Taxi, moving, day. Fabian looks at his watch. It says 3 p.m. EXT taxi, moving, day. An established shot of the taxi driving in the street of New York City. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, aerial view of New York City in the night. And others. EXT apartment complex, sunset. An established shot of 73-story apartment complex. Int. Apartment complex, elevator, moving up, night. Fabian is inside the elevator, holding a single red rose. The elevator then stops at 62 floor. Int. Apartment complex, 62 floor, night. Fabian exits from the elevator and walks down the hallway. Fabian comes up to room number 6126. When he is about to knock the door opens, revealing Julia. She is wearing a stunning red Versace gown. Fabian is taken by her sense of fashion. Julia looks at him in surprise. Julia, hey. Fabian, under his breath hi. She comes out of her room and hugs him. They kiss on the cheeks. Julia, how did you get out of the prison? Fabian, I took a hidden dimension. Julia, what hidden dimension are you talking about? Fabian, it's a long story. I'll tell you everything. Where you going? Julia, I was about to go to this movie premium The Devil Wears Versace and then a fashion party at the Plaza Hotel. But fuck it. We can go to somewhere quiet and talk. There is not a single day goes by that I didn't think of you. I missed you. Fabian, under his breath I missed you too. She hugs him again. But this time, she kisses him on the lips. Julia locks her door. Fabian and Julia walk down the hallway. Fabian gives her the rose. Julia, a red rose. Is it for me? Julia takes the rose. Fabian, yes, it is. Julia, thanks. Fabian, you welcome. Julia, by the way, you look amazing. Fabian, thanks. You look beautiful too. On the soundtrack, music comes. Fabian and Julia continue to walk down the hallway, talking as if nothing happened. They come up to the elevator. Julia presses a button. The elevator doors open. Julia and Fabian enter into the elevator. Julia presses a button. The elevator doors close. EXT restaurant, night. A romantic 5-star restaurant. Fabian and Julia sit at a table with glasses of wine, talking. We don't hear what they are saying due to the music on the soundtrack. The music then falls in the background. Fabian, in one universe, you're dead. In another, you're alive. Off her look, they're parallel universes that are hidden from our sight and occupies the same space and time with our universe. Each decision that we make, and decisions that we consider of making create quantum realities. All conclusions are played out in multiple universes. One quantum difference can separate us from entirely another universe where I'm innocent of the crime I was charged. Julia, first of all. How can I be dead and alive at the same time? It doesn't make any sense. Fabian, time is illusion. The past, the present, the future exist at the same time. According to quantum mechanics, a person could be dead in one universe. She or he could also be alive in a parallel universe. Julia, are you saying I'm dead in a parallel universe? Fabian, it's complicated. We don't know if it's the past, the present or the future. Or we're in parallel universes. For some reason, space-time and all the intersecting universes merged to a single point. You were killed on June 23, 2051. Now it says June 23, 2053. Minutes ago, it was June 23, 2054. The actual date is May 6, 2052. It sounds crazy. But the only explanation is the universe works in quantum mechanics. Julia, so, what are you saying? Fabian, we have to find the person who killed you, and reverse all these alternative universes and space-time collapse and bring order to the cosmos. Julia, what do you mean bring order to the cosmos? Fabian, I meant fix few things, get the bottom of the truth. Julia, anyway, it's weird. I keep having this nightmare. I'm sleeping. I then opened my eyes. A man, who had a QR code tattoo, came with a knife and stabbed me in the heart. I don't know what he looks like. But his QR code tattoo branded in my memory like fire. Fabian, QR code? Julia, QR code on his wrist. Out of nowhere she produces her underwear and puts it on the table. Julia, I want you to make love to me, and get rid of the aching in my heart. Fabian looks at her eyes in wonder. He then gives her his hand. She takes his hand, gets up, walks around the table, sits on his lap, puts her arms around his neck. They kiss French. He puts his arms around her. Close up, Julia and Fabian. They kiss more intimately. Int. Hotel, suite, night. Fabian and Julia make love. It's sensual, enchanting, and passionate. He is entering her deliciously. Julia is burning with sexual passion. We stay with them with series cuts as they continue to go at it with various sexual positions. Int. Library, day. Fabian hacks into NYPD database and begins to look for a person with QR tattoo. We see people with all kinds of QR tattoos. Fabian then writes something in the search engine and compiles the file. He gets a list of names that match the description. Fabian prints the result, gets up and walks toward the printer. Int. Coffee shop, day. Fabian and Julia sit in a box with cups of coffees and muffins while looking at the result. Fabian, I got 4 people that fit the description of the tattoo and time of the incident. Fabian shows her a photo. Fabian, Mark Bolton. He's ex-Navy SEAL, works at ISE, International Software Enterprise as a software consultant. He served 6 months for beating a man into coma. Does his face look familiar to you? Julia, no. I don't remember the guy's face. On the TV screen, news. A reporter named Maria Lopez addresses the news of Fabian escaping from prison from CNN headquarters. Maria, TV convicted murder, the inventor of Forever Young, Fabian Christian escaped from New York State Prison yesterday. The police found surveillance video of Mr. Christian at the Armani clothing store in Manhattan. On the TV screen, we see the surveillance video of Fabian at the Armani store. Both Julia and Fabian ignore the news. Fabian shows her second photo. Fabian, Matthew Calloway. He's an investor. A self-made billionaire. He served 5 years for security fraud. His record also shows he was involved in guns and illegal diamonds trade. Spent 2 years behind bars in South Africa. Have you ever met him? Julia, no I haven't. He shows her third photo. Fabian, Kai Hudson. He's a chemist. Served 2 years for selling 60,000 milligrams MDMA and 90,000 milligrams amphetamine, ecstasy, and speed, to the Russian mobs. He stole them from FX Pharmaceutical Company where he used to work at. He was also the prime suspect of the missing of his wife Rachel Cole, who disappeared without a trace 10 years ago. The local police and FBI questioned him. But they couldn't find enough evidence that could incriminate him. The case went cold. Do you know him? Julia, no. He shows her fourth photo. Fabian, Roman Finn. He's a surgeon. He was sentenced 15 years for killing a patient, who suffered from brain cancer. But the Supreme Court dropped the case after they found out the judge was paid by the victim's family, some kind of insurance fraud. Have you met him? Julia, no I haven't. Fabian, we'll ask them few questions and see what they have to say for themselves. Julia, what do you mean few questions? Fabian, we're going to play detectives. You know, like Columbo. Julia, who's Columbo? Fabian, he's one of the greatest TV detectives in the history of TV. But don't worry about Columbo. We're going to be Bonnie and Clyde. Julia, you can't be serious. Fabian, humorously it's a new detective TV show that I thought about pitching to Hollywood. You know, there were famous outlaws and bank robbers in the 30s. They could have easily been detectives in a parallel universe. Julia, if we celebrate Halloween 7 days a week and 365 days a year, Bonnie and Clyde couldn't have passed as detectives for a day in 100 universes. Fabian, okay. Not Bonnie and Clyde. That was a joke. But 2 serious FBI agents who can hold their grounds. Julia, are you saying we're going to ask them real questions like police officers? Fabian, yeah. We'll just ask them if they have any connection with Forever Young, and if they kill Julia Cisco. Julia, you're out of your mind. These people are criminal. Fabian, I know, but you see. Forever Young has a serious side effect. It causes infertility. I discovered the side effect after it's sold by quadrillions. Then the people, who involved in the production, killed you and blamed it on me. We have to get to the bottom of the truth and take it from there. Julia, the whole thing feels like a dream that you wake up on the moon after a night of drinking. Fabian, it does, doesn't it? But I know a great makeup artist who can transform us into 2 cool FBI agents. His name is Roger. EXT Fabian's Aston Martin convertible, moving, day. Aston Martin 1-94. Fabian and Julia drive in the street of New York City. EXT Roger's apartment, day. Roger opens the door, revealing Fabian and Julia. Fabian, what's up, Rogue? Roger, what's up, Fabian? They hug friendly, greeting. Fabian, this is Julia. Julia, hi. Julia hugs Roger and kisses him on the lips. Roger is taken by the greeting. Fabian, can we come in? Roger, please. Fabian and Julia walk in. Roger closes the door. Roger, what's the story behind you escaping from prison? Julia, answering for Fabian, they just make a big deal out of nothing. Roger, they love making a big deal out of nothing in this country we called USA, don't they? Julia, you tell me. Roger, I once jumped one World Trade Center with a parachute. They kept me in a jail for a week, wasting my precious time. I almost went crazy. Julia, playing along they are assholes. Fabian, can you do us a favor? We want you to transform us into 2 FBI agents. We're going to ask a couple of guys few questions, regarding to her death. Roger doesn't understand the last part, regarding to her death. But he replies instinctively when he hears transformation. Roger, no problem. Int. Roger's apartment, makeup studio, day. We see all kinds of weird makeup, gothic masks, toys, plastic zombies, dolls, etc. It is a freakish makeup art studio. Roger is in the middle of transforming Julia into Jodie Foster, a completely unrecognizable person. Fabian looks at Julia in wonder while eating turkey sandwich and drinking Coke from a can. We stay with them for a little bit. Int. Roger's apartment, makeup studio, later. Roger applies makeup on Fabian's face, transforming him into unrecognizable person. A transformed Julia looks at Fabian while sipping wine from a glass. Int. Fabian's Aston Martin convertible, moving, day. Fabian and Julia drive in the street of New York City. Fabian is behind the wheel. Julia is in the passenger seat. They look two totally different persons. However, we still get some sense of Fabian and Julia despite the fact remarkable transformation. EXT Fabian's Aston Martin convertible, moving, day. An established shot of Fabian's Aston Martin convertible with transformed Fabian and Julia as they continue to drive in the street of New York City. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, and others. EXT ISE headquarter, day. An established shot of ISE, International Software Enterprise. It is an 82-story building. Int. ISE headquarter, lobby, day. Unrecognizable Fabian and Julia walk down the lobby and get into the elevator. Int. ISE headquarter, elevator, day. Unrecognizable Fabian presses a button. The elevator moves up with unrecognizable Julia and Fabian. Int. ISE headquarter, Mark's office, day. Mark Bolton sits at his desk, working on a program. Fabian and Julia walk in. Mark stops what he is doing and looks at them. Fabian takes out his fake badge and shows Mark the badge. Fabian, FBI. I'm Agent Vincent. This is Agent Johnson. We came to ask you few questions regarding to the death of Julia Cisco. Mark, sure. Fabian sits on a chair. Julia moves around, looking around the office, every small details. She is playing like a real FBI agent. Fabian shows Mark the photo of Julia. Fabian, as Agent Vincent, do you know her? Mark, no I don't. Though she looks familiar. Fabian, what do you mean by she looks familiar? Julia sits on the edge of Mark's desk. Mark, I think I've seen her somewhere, but I don't know where it was. Fabian, where were you on Saturday, June 23rd? Mark, I don't remember. I might have been at Ricky's bar. I usually go there on Saturday. Julia, as Agent Johnson, between 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning. Mark probably sleeping at home from all the drinking and partying on Friday. Fabian, have you ever met people who works at Forever Young? Mark, no I despise those people. They make zillions from a product that causes infertility. Fabian, how do you know it causes infertility? Many people think it is a lie. They keep taking Forever Young despite the fact the guy, who invented the drug, admitted it causes infertility. Mark, because they control the media. They control the law. There is no website that talks about the side effect. Fabian, I know. I posted the side effect on the internet millions of times. Within a second, viruses destroy all my computers. Julia looks at Fabian like, what are you doing? You are supposed to be FBI. Fabian, quickly collect his composure, not like I give a fuck. You know, sometimes, you feel like doing the right thing. It helps you collect positive energy. Mark, I feel you. That's how the world works, there are those who invent. There are those who depend on the invention, and there are those who make profit out of the invention, whether it's good or evil. Fabian, anyway, man, don't sweat it. We'll take care of it. Thank you for your time. Fabian gets up. He gives Julia a wink, maybe this guy didn't do it. Let's just get out of here. They leave quietly. On the soundtrack, music plays. EXT Fabian's convertible Aston Martin, moving, day. Fabian and Julia drive in the street of New York City. On the soundtrack, music continues to play. EXT New York City, harbor, day. An established shot of New York City harbor. We see all kinds of luxurious boats and multimillion-dollar yachts. Fabian and Julia walk down the harbor. EXT New York City harbor, Matt's yacht, day. Matthew Calloway sits at a table in the deck, enjoying baked fish and a glass of wine. Fabian and Julia approach him. Matt looks at them and puts down his knife and fork. Fabian shows Matt his fake FBI badge. Fabian, FBI. I'm Agent Vincent. This is Agent Johnson. We came to ask you few questions regarding to the death of Julia Cisco. Fabian sits on a chair. Julia walks around the boat. Fabian takes out the photo Julia from a folder and shows Matt the picture. Fabian, do you know her? Matt takes the photo and looks at it. Matt, no, I don't. He puts the photo on the table. Fabian, where were you on Saturday? June 23rd, between 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning? Matt, I was sailing on the Atlantic Ocean. Julia walks up to the table, grabs Matt's wine and takes a sip. Julia, Mr. Calloway, we talked to your ex-girlfriend Federica Lake. She said 2 weeks prior to the murder, she saw you talking to Julia Cisco. She's not lying, is she? Matt, I have nothing to say. You can talk to my lawyer. Julia, you're not under arrest. Only guilty people need lawyers. Matt, I'm more comfortable with my lawyer handling my legal matter, whether I'm guilty or innocent, than dealing with people who like to serve and protect. Julia, you must have one hell of a lawyer. Matt, the best in the world. You will be working in Kazakhstan at the US Embassy as security guards. I heard Kazakhstan has one of the harshest winter session in the world. You had better shop for warm cloths. Julia puts the wine on the table, takes out her gun and points the gun at Matt. Julia, motherfucker. Did you kill her? Fabian is taken by her action. Matt doesn't know what to say. He is speechless. Julia, did you? Matt, no, I didn't. I've never seen her in my life. Julia's finger is tightened on the trigger. She looks deep into his eyes. Julia, he killed her. It's written all over his face. Matt, how could I have killed someone that I had never met? You must believe me. Julia, so, what's Federica Lake talking about? Matt, she's jealous. If I go to a club and talk to girls, she'll assume I'm going to have sex with them. She's making me pay for dumping her. Julia, I should just shoot him. I don't feel like going to Kazakhstan. I hate cold weather. I am allergic to cold temperature. Fabian gets up. Fabian, it's okay, Kate. Give me the gun. I'll shoot him in the kneecap. He'll tell us the truth. Julia, fuck the truth. It'll give me great pleasure if I splatter his brain all over this fucking boat. He insulted us. Matt, I'm sorry. I watched one too many movies. I didn't mean to insult you. But I didn't kill her. Julia flips the table like Samuel Jackson in Pulp Fiction, crashing everything on the floor. Julia, I'm going to shoot your dick. You cheated a lot of people's life investments in stock, and sold guns to the bad guys. Matt, tell me this is not about that. Julia, it's about your being a liar and a cold-blooded killer. Matt, I might have lied a little. But I didn't kill a single soul. Fabian, it's okay, Kate. He's not worth it. Let's just get out of here. She looks at Matt's soul straighten through his eyes. Julia, you had better watch out, motherfucker. Next time I see you, I won't hesitate to shoot you in the testicles. I'll then cut your heart out and bury it at the inner core of the earth. Your ghost will be digging iron nickel alloy for your soul. Julia puts the gun in her holster. Fabian and Julia turn around and walk toward the exit. EXT/int. Fabian's Aston Martin, moving, day. Fabian and Julia drive in the street of New York City. Fabian is behind the wheel. Julia is in the passenger seat. Fabian, I couldn't believe it. Iron nickel alloy. Cut his heart and bury it at the inner core of the earth. Julia, I started out as an actress, before I began working for Aphrodite, fashion magazine. It's natural for me to get lost in method acting. Fabian, the great Catherine Zeta-Jones has nothing on you. Julia, it's just something that I thought'd make his skin crawl. Fabian, you made him turn into a ghost. That is an Oscar-winning performance. Julia, imitating Jodie Foster, this has been such an incredible year. And I'd like to dedicate this award to all of the women who came before me who never had the chances that I've had, and the survivors and the pioneers and the outcasts, and my blood, my tradition. And I'd like to thank the incredible cast and crew of Silence of the Lamb. And of course, the reason that I'm here, Anthony Hopkins. Right on. Fabian smiles in wonder. EXT Fabian's convertible Aston Martin, moving, day. An established shot of Fabian's convertible Aston Martin with Fabian and Julia as they continue to drive in the street of New York City. EXT Kai's Villa, sunset. It is a beautiful villa. We see swimming pool, spellbinding garden, tennis court, a huge private bar. It looks like a small hotel. Kai Hudson sits at a table, next to the swimming pool, drinking scotch. His girlfriend Rita swims freestyle. She is an amazing swimmer. Fabian's convertible Aston Martin. Fabian and Julia come driving and park their car next to Kai's villa. They exit from the car, pass through the gate and approach Kai. Kai looks at them. Fabian takes out his fake FBI badge. Fabian, FBI. I'm Agent Vincent. This is Agent Johnson. We came to ask you few questions regarding to the death of Julia Cisco. Fabian sits at the table. Julia walks by the swimming pool. She looks at Rita as she continues to swim. Fabian shows Kai the photo of Julia. Fabian, do you know her? Kai takes the photo and looks at it. Kai, I don't think so. Fabian, what do you mean you don't think so? Have you met her before? Kai, no, I haven't. But she looks like this intern that I used to work with at FX Pharmaceutical Company. Kai puts the photo on the table. Fabian, you served 2 years for selling 60,000 milligrams MAMD and 90,000 milligrams amphetamine. Do you have any connection with Forever Young? Kai, no, I don't. Fabian, where were you on Saturday? June 23 between 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning? Kai, I was running around Central Park. Fabian, did you run for 3 hours? Kai, I usually run for an hour so. Do push-ups and Tai Chi. Fabian, suppose you ran for an hour. You took a break for 20 minutes. You did push-ups for another 20 minutes and Tai Chi for 10 minutes. You still had 1 hour and 20 minutes. You could have gone anywhere within that period, which is assuming you are telling me the truth. Julia walks up to the table, grabs the whiskey from the table, and drinks the liquor from the bottle. Julia, in 1 hour and 20 minutes, you can assassin the mayor of New York City, and drink a cold beer at a local bar that opens 24 hours while watching ESPN. Kai, what are you suggesting? You think I killed her? Julia, did you? Kai, no I did not. Julia, so, who killed her? Kai, how should I know? Fabian, we talked to your friend George Sander. You guys usually run together. But that day, you did not show up. Where did you go? Kai says nothing. Julia, we checked your phone record. You made 3 calls to Joshua Knox who works at Forever Young. Kai, okay. You got me. I ditched running, and went to play basketball with him. I don't really want to confess my sexuality. But I'm bisexual. Joshua Knox and I have been seeing each other for a while. We played for 2 hours and watched a movie at his house. In the background, Rita continues to swim. Julia, what movie did you guys watch? Kai, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Julia, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Susan Sarandon, Tim Curley, and Peter Hinwood as Rocky. Were you guys having Caesar salad while watching the movie? Or you excused your friend and went to kill Julia Cisco? John Knox told us you left his house around 9:30 am. Kai, okay. I have another confession to make. After I left his house, I came to my lab to make Zedin, 20. Julia, what's that? Kai, it's a new drug that let you have the actual out-of-body experience. It's 1,000 times more powerful than cocaine, ecstasy, meth, and heroin combine. Julia, why are you telling us that for? Do you know making illegal drugs is a federal crime? Kai, this is absolutely legal. I mean it's the real thing. I've never created anything like it. Clean drug. It's revealed to me by divine intervention, in a dream. I tested it in 5 volunteers. All 5 of them had out-of-body experience. They said it's the most powerful drug that they had ever taken. No side effect whatsoever. Helps fight major depression and mood disorder. It also enhances sexual performance. Fabian gets up. Fabian, thanks for your time. To Julia, let's get out of here. We'll call Mark Rentboy. He'll come and confiscate all the drugs from his lab. Fabian is about to leave. Julia, wait. We're not going to call Mark Rentboy if he gives us some Zedin. I want to try it. Fabian looks at her in wonder. Julia, I'm fucking with him. They all smile moderately. Julia, but tell us about the disappearance of your wife Rachel Cole. You killed her and dumped her body in the ocean, didn't you? Kai, no I didn't kill her. She ran away and started a new life in Sweden. She actually contacted me in Facebook 2 days ago. She said she didn't run away from me. She ran away from her past, something with her mother and stepfather that she didn't want to talk about. I was going to contact FBI and tell them her whereabouts. But I thought I should wait. I didn't want you guys to come and find about the drug. Julia takes a sip from the bottle and puts the liquor on the table. Julia, that's too bad. We're going to check on you. I'll personally make it my life mission that the drug has no side effect whatsoever. If it does, you're going to spend the rest of your life behind bars. Take care. Julia and Fabian walk toward the Aston Martin. EXT Kai's Villa, Fabian's convertible Aston Martin, sunset. Fabian and Julia come up to the Aston Martin. Fabian opens the door. Julia has something in her mind. Julia, just give me a minute. Let me ask him one last question. Before Fabian says anything, she turns around and walks back to the villa. Int. Fabian's convertible Aston Martin, moving, night. Fabian, who is behind the wheel, and Julia, who is in the passenger seat, drive in the street of New York City. Julia is extremely high. Julia, what the fuck? I can see my soul floating in the air. Fabian, you're tripping. I told you not to take it. Julia, you should try it. This is the ultimate experience. I don't feel a single weight in my body, as if I'm in 2 places at the same time. Fabian, it's crazy. Julia, it's the crown jewels of elation, unbearable lightness of being beautiful, alive, and nothingness. Fabian smiles in wonder. Julia, can you imagine having sex in the air? Fabian says that is it. Fabian, smiling and joking, I'll definitely call Mark Rentboy, and tell him to confiscate all the drugs and put them in the evidence room. Julia, who's Mark Rentboy? Fabian, Ewan McGregor in Train Spotting. Julia, extremely high and quoting Ewan McGregor, take the best orgasm you ever had, multiply it by 1,000,000 and you're still nowhere near it. Fabian, for real? Julia grabs her private part over her underwear. Julia, extremely high and having orgasm, what is happening to me? Fabian. What is going on? Fabian shakes his head, smiling in wonder. Julia continues to have crazy orgasm, making all kinds of sexual cries. EXT Fabian's Aston Martin, moving, sunset. An established shot of Fabian's Aston Martin with Fabian and Julia, who is having wild orgasms, as they continue to drive in the street of New York City. We then take it with overhead shot. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, aerial view of New York City, and others. Int. Blue's house, night. Fabian and Julia sit at a table with glasses of wine. We see a couple of hippie customers enjoying their outings. On the stage, a girl named Lisa sings a love song. Fabian, Saint Augustine, 4th-century philosopher, said, time consists of time past, time present, and time future. The future doesn't exist yet. The past no longer exists. The present takes no time at all. So how come time exists? Time is illusion. Julia, time is freak of nature. Fabian, tell me about it. Julia, Einstein said, time is relative. It doesn't tick the same for me. It ticks for you. Suppose if I travel close to the speed of light for 3.5 years. When I return, everybody ages 250 years. Fabian, Einstein doesn't know anything about time. He thought nothing travel faster than the speed of light, despite the fact his general theory of relativity predicts the existence of wormholes, theoretical passageways through space-time. Einstein's theory also states space can starch, but it can't be ripped. Wormhole exists naturally. But you can't tear space and create a new one. Yet quantum physics tells us strings not only allow us to tear space and create artificial wormholes, but they also permit us to manipulate quantum pathways and create gates that allow us to travel through the fabric of the cosmos in a blink of an eye. Julia, that's something. Fabian, strings also allows us to vertex hidden dimensions and be multiple places at the same time physically and do multiple tasks as well. Julia is still high. Julia, I like the idea of being multiple place at the same time physically and doing multiple task. I'd have gotten Brazil wax in Rio, gone skinny dipping in the South France, and visited Old City of Jerusalem at the same time. Fabian, humorously I can tell you up front nothing tops skinny dipping in South France whether you have Brazil wax or not. Except sex in the beach under the full moon with someone helplessly and unconditionally you're in love with. Julia, that is a little bit X-rated. Maybe, I'll just be a good girl, and watch the sunsets in New York and rise in Hong Kong. There is a 12 hours difference between them. Fabian, there are a lot of things that you can do in 12 hours. You could be in 2 parallel universes, where your dynasty is the greatest ever in one universe, expanding your riches and territory. Power, seduction, conquest, poetry, and romance are parts of your daily life that go without saying. Simultaneously, you're just a princess in another universe, voted the most beautiful girl in the cosmos. Your eyes shine where stars dare not twinkle, your lips bleed where saints and angels fear to breathe. And your face beams brighter than the moon in summer nights. Your body is a source of fervor. And yet no soul that has tasted life aches more than my heart. This audio file was created by Panopreter Basic. You can download it at www.panopreter.com. It caves in the deepest at the sight your eyes and lips. At the same time, you're in the middle of figuring out the mystery of your bleeding heart, everything that brings true love, fever, and crucifixion to your wild soul. And when you kiss with pure love that God felt at the creation. And passion and intense feeling that Christ felt on the cross, you give everything you have while binding spell with your tongue. Julia, that's romantic. Fabian, I tend to get romantic when I drink wine. He takes a sip from his wine. Julia, I like the part my lips bleed where saints and angels fear to breathe. It sounds like Shakespeare's sonnets. Fabian smiles softly. Fabian, anything can happen in alternate universes. I mean, right now, we're not wired to grasp the deepest law of the cosmos. Our brain might not understand some of the principles that govern parallel universes. But someday, we'll find out that we're actually infinite. In fact, space is sempiternal. There are infinite numbers of universes, dimensions, and space-time curvatures. It's like 2 mirrors facing each other, except each layer has its own sense of character. And it's far more dynamic and complex than any mirror that takes up space. Snow White can appear out of thin air, from Googleplex light years away in a heartbeat, and starts creation in a blink of an eye. You know, a parallel universe where she, the queen, the magic mirror, mirror mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest them of all and love's first kiss exist in real life? Julia, that's fascinating. But I didn't know you were such Snow White fan. Fabian, humorously I'm a diehard Snow White fan. I can see myself walking in the sunset with Snow White. Julia smiles in beauty. Julia, anyway, let me ask you this, can time exist without space, and space without time? Fabian, that's interesting question. Some scientists believe time is the manifestation of space. Time can't exist without space. But space can. If you strip time from space, all things in the universe will cease to go through changes. Therefore, if there is no change, there is no time. Khalil Gibran summed it up, I existed from all eternity and, behold, I am here, and I shall exist till the end of time, for my being has no end, which gives us a clear idea that space is real. But time is illusion. The past, the present, the future happens at the same time. Julia, that's deep. But let's give time the benefit of the doubt. It's on our side. Fabian, I doubt it. The cops are looking for us. We might have to keep a low profile. Julia, still high of the drug, they're not going to find us. We're invincible. Fabian, if you say so. But the closer we get to the person who killed you, the closer we come face to face with the truth. Julia, we're getting there. Let's just have fun as much as we can. Fabian, I hear you. But just think about it. If people continue to take forever young, they'll end up being infertile. It's my responsibility to let them know what they're getting into. I invented the drug. Julia, why can't you just post it on the internet? Fabian, I did. They control the internet. They control the media. They control the law. They control everything. It's $1 zillion business. Because, everybody wants to stay young forever. Julia, I don't want to stay young forever. When the time comes, I'll accept my fate and get old gracefully. Fabian, that's what everybody says. But as long as the drug is out there, people cheat. Yet they don't know it has consequence. Julia, still. Have you ever thought about it? Some people might choose forever young over infertility? Fabian, if you give them choices, I'll be fine. You know, how they do it on cigarettes. Tobacco companies have warning label that says, cigarette causes cancer, or something, but these guys are greedy. All they care about is making money. If you tell them to place warning label on the product, they'll kill you. Julia, just forget about it for a minute and try Zidane. Out of nowhere she produces the drug, Zidane, and gives Fabian the drug. Fabian takes it with wine. It hits him right away. Fabian, wow. What the fuck? I can hear the beat of my heart. Julia, playing along, is that right? Fabian, feeling elation, you're absolutely right. This is the ultimate ecstasy. Julia, just wait for a second. He gave me Zidane, 25 plus instead of 20. He said it's more powerful than Zidane 20. Fabian, it's crazy. Julia, that's what I took earlier. He warned me, it's no joke, targets sexual hormones responsible for releasing endorphins. Fabian, no. It can't be. Julia, knowing what's up, what's it? Fabian, I can see my soul floating in the air. I'm in two places at the same time. Julia, I told you so. Fabian, what the fuck? I can't feel myself, as if I'm floating like dandelion. Julia, it's only fucking with you. You're going to come on your pant in 3 seconds. Fabian grabs his private part over his pants. Fabian, no. Hold it. No, hold it, fuck. Fabian can't control it. Fabian, no. Fuck. Fabian comes on his pants. Julia laughs. Fabian, breathing in and out, god damn it. What the fuck is that? Julia, you just beat Meg Ryan by a mile. Fabian takes another deep breath. Then. Fabian, no. Not again. What the fuck? Don't do it. He lets it go. Fabian, I couldn't control it. Fuck. Julia, it's not over by any mean. Fabian, it can't be. I'm still hard. Blood keeps flowing into my penis. This thing can kill a man. Julia, joking / sarcastically, you can't be serious. Fabian, I swear I can feel my thing touching the sky. Julia, my vagina is burning as well. It's itching inside out. Do you want to have sex? Fabian, please. She takes off her underwear, puts it on the ground, comes around the table and sits on Fabian's lap. They kiss with tongues seductively. On the soundtrack, music comes. Fabian grabs her buttocks, picks her up and walks toward the exit as they continue to kiss lusciously. The customers watch them in wonder. EXT Hotel 2, elevator, night. Fabian and Julia have sex in the elevator, kissing passionately. Int. Hotel 2, Fabian and Julia's suite, night. The door opens from outside, revealing Fabian and Julia, who are kissing French lasciviously. They enter, move down the room, fall on the floor, and continue to have crazy sex. Int. Hotel 2, Fabian and Julia's suite, bedroom, night. Fabian and Julia continue to make love. It is steamy, seductive, and passionate. They are not holding anything. We see everything, one of best sex ever in the history of cinema. Note, we stay with them with series cut as they do it with all kinds of sexual positions. EXT Hotel 2, Fabian and Julia's suite, bathtub, night. Millions of sparkling stars, bright moon, the spectacular view of New York City in the night. Fabian and Julia sit in the bathtub placed on the rooftop of their suite. It is surrounded by candles and rose petals. Julia rests on Fabian's chest. Fabian is behind reciting a poem, I Carry Your Heart With Me by E. E. Cummings, while planting small soft kisses on her shoulders. Fabian, softly down by her neck. I carry your heart with me, I carry it in my heart, I am never without it, anywhere. I go you go, my dear, and whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet, I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you or whatever a moon has always meant. And whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root and the bud of the bud. And the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart, I carry it in my heart. Fabian kisses her on the shoulder. Julia is high. Julia, what time is it? Fabian looks at his watch. Fabian, Saturday. June 23rd, 3 a.m. Julia, we fucked for 12 hours straight. Fabian, 15 hours. Julia, I can't feel my vagina. It's sore. Fabian, I can't feel my penis either. They kiss French. Julia, how many times did you come? Fabian, over 13. I lost count at 8. Julia, I think I must have come 50 times. At one point, I was keep having orgasm every minute while you were fucking me, Each penetration felt like electricity deep at the core of my soul while caught on fire. Fabian, humorously, I hope it had nothing to do with the drug. It was all me. Julia, it must be you. I was having out-of-body experience with each orgasm, I even died and returned to life. Fabian, humorously, are you sure? It could be the drug. He kisses her on the shoulder. Julia, whatever it is, I felt enlightenment. Fabian, I'll never take that drug again. My heart stopped in the last few seconds. I swear I saw the angels in heaven too. We might have to arrest Kai and confiscate all his drugs, the 25 plus. Julia, we should just have sex till we die. Fabian, sure. We do it every chance we get. But we still have to question Roman Finn. Julia, I hope he has a drug that stops cardiovascular pain. Fabian, what's wrong with your heart? Julia, I'm so in love with you. It hurts at bottom of my heart where my soul resides empathically, helplessly, and sensitively, and doesn't want to be bothered, marked, or touched by a poet. But you stabbed it with a kiss, and left eternal scar on my soul that would never heal as long as I live, even in death, and forever. I can cry without blinking my eyes. It could be the drug. We don't know. Two pair of tears exits from her eyes in a heartbeat and falls by the side of her cheeks, despite the fact there is a beautiful smile on her face. She cleans the tears with her hand. They exchange soft French kisses. Fabian, you have no idea what I am going through. I feel dreamish like an oil paint. No drug would ever heal my soul that is bleeding like a saint, who is kissed French by the most gorgeous girl in the cosmos, till his liver and spleen faint. She is a rose, has the sexiest eyes, the sweetest lips, and the most beautiful face, exists endlessly as long as hearts shall beat, throb, feel, ache and race, had existed before the creation of heaven, time, and space, and will always exist forever and ever till love runs out of infinity, time, and grace. It's said her lips give light, perfume, and blood to the quintessence, more divine than the breath of life. Yet her tongue is more delicious than peach and sharper than a knife. It cuts the soul so deep, unconditionally changes awareness into lewd, undomesticated, lascivious, and the wildest life without strife, and I can't help loving her till death do us apart as if she were my wife. Yet, she doesn't know any mercy. One French kiss from her. A soul bleeds for eternity. The cherub said the sky used to be white. When the angels, who floated in the air, pretending to be butterflies, talked about her day and night, and couldn't help falling in love with her spellbinding eyes. The sky then slowly began to turn into blue, so they could deceive her, and drink nectar from her luscious lips that put any carnation to shame as if they had never hue, while she was wondering, could love be sweet, sad, ironic, painful, and so true? Yet, their hearts couldn't bear that much love as if fever were taboo. Tulips, jasmine, daisies with various color and see-through, purple water and lavender covered with dew began to rain from the sky till love felt new. Those days, there were no lightning and thunderstorm. But that is a different story. They all knew she was in love with a poet whose heart was so wild and always in pain, must be kept tied with a chain, feels, reasons and thinks with his heart rather than with his brain. So, they tricked her again, they told her the poet was dead and sane, to turn the water into clear in vain. She cried day and night, tear that would eventually replace any known rain. However, the angel didn't know either her tears were red, gold, diamond and even blue that is warm, not difficult to conform. Did she tell them anything that might misinform? Every college student had dreamed about her, holding a rose next to their heart, waked up in the middle of the night, and wrote romantic poems in their dorm. Or maybe angels didn't expect to rain pink, passion, crimson, violet and blood, depend on her mood, which has no trouble to transform into flowers and snowstorm, carmine rose petals, dahlia, sacred lotus, gladiolus, hibiscus, magnolia, cherry blossom and gazania falling from the sky, and like snowflake, each had different shape, design, scent and form, which they were remarkably accompanied with aurora polaris and lightning and thunderstorm. The angels were propelled to paint her tears with holy water from the highest order of heavens, and made sure there were no red, purple, yellow, and blue on them before they mixed with the clouds without resistance, and entered the earth atmosphere within fair distance, to make peace with the gods and goddesses of the cosmos and natural order of existence. Then one day, unexpectedly, the poet felt love at the depth of his soul and bone marrow till his liver said no, and pain at the bottom of his heart where blood refused to flow. His essences exploded inside his body like stardust that burn and glow, couldn't wait for tomorrow. It didn't matter whether he felt high or low. His heart went wherever love must go. He saw her at a rose garden. She was so beautiful. His heart stopped without pardon, and died on her arms softly as if nothing in the world had never hardened. She knew he was the love of her life, and would rather love till it hurts, and leave this world behind, than kept in her own heart confined, which she might have modestly doubted. The stars are made of very hot gas, and could be sophisticated and refined. The sun burnt hydrogen, and turned it into helium in nuclear fusion, so it shined the brightest, till flowers turned into womankind. Roses were white, pink, red, and orange, and their petals in the passage of time might have faithfully inclined, and if two strands of DNA had ever been intertwined, but her love was authentic and one of its kind, kissed him on the lips tenderly, and restored life into his heart, soul, and mind. They made love, shared kisses, hugs, and laughter, and made more love and lived happily ever after. Cupid told me she looks exactly like you. She smiles in beauty. They kiss French. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, ultramodern buildings, and many more. EXT/int. Fabian's Aston Martin convertible, moving, day. Fabian, who is behind the wheel, and Julia, who is in the passenger seat, drive in the street of New York City. EXT Roman Plastic Surgery Center, Day. An established shot of Roman Plastic Surgery Center. It is a 50-story building. Int. Roman Plastic Surgery Center, Roman's office, Day. Roman Finn sits at his desk, working on his laptop at his glass office. Int. Roman Plastic Surgery Center, Roman's office lobby, Day. Roman's secretary, Marta, sits at the circulation desk, talking on her cell phone. The elevator doors open, revealing Fabian and Julia. They exit from the elevator, walk down the lobby. Julia passes Roman's secretary. Fabian opens Roman's office door. Int. Roman Plastic Surgery Center, Roman's office, Day. Julia and Fabian enter. Roman looks at them. Fabian shows him his fake FBI badge. Fabian, FBI. I'm Agent Vincent. This is Agent Johnson. We came to ask you few questions, regarding to the death of Julia Cisco. Fabian sits in a chair. Julia moves around the office. Fabian shows Roman the photo of Julia. Fabian, do you know her? Roman looks at the photo. Roman, I think I've seen her. She came to have breast implants. Julia, no. She didn't. That is a lie. Her autopsy shows she never had breast implants. Roman, maybe I must have confused her with a girl who looked like her. Fabian, where were you on Saturday? June 23 between 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning? Roman, I was here. We open 24 hours. Julia, have you ever lied in your life before? Roman, white lie. Not I think of it. Julia, you were convicted for killing a patient named Ronald Dean. What's the story behind his death? You killed him, didn't you? Roman, no I didn't touch him. As a matter of fact, Mr. Dean asked me to assist him to commit suicide. He was about to pay me $20 million. But I refused. He then killed himself by injecting PCI into his system. His family paid the judge, so they could get $500 million insurance money upon my conviction. A private investigator that I hired found about it. The Supreme Court later reversed the verdict and set me free. Julia, but you assisted him. You provided him with the PCI. Fabian, right before he died, he withdrew $20 million and put the money in Kristen James's account. Julia, a nurse with whom you were having an affair at that time. Later you divorced your wife and married Kristen James. Fabian, NYPD and the prosecutors didn't bother to check her account. Julia, but the bureau did. We found out that she had received $20 million. Then you guys purchased this plastic surgery center. Fabian, that pretty much sums it up. Roman, it's not true. Kristen was his favorite nurse. She took care of him as if he were her father. He gave her the money out of generosity. Fabian, it's cool, man. We're not here to accuse you. We're only interested in Julia Cisco. Julia, we are not expecting you to confess as if you were inside a confession box at your favorite church. But it's worth a try. Did you kill her? Roman, no I did not kill her. I don't know who she is. Fabian, what's your tie with Forever Young? Roman, what do you mean by tie? Like how they're bankrupting me. People don't need plastic surgery anymore. They just take Forever Young and stay eternal. They only come here for nose jobs and breast implants. Julia, so, you killed Julia Cisco, thinking the police would blame the inventor of Forever Young Mr. Christian, to eliminate competition. Roman, forget this business. It's not really business. My life has been ruined ever since the accusation. Julia, explain. Roman, you see. I was one of the leading neurosurgeon in the world. Maybe the best there is. I even saved the president of Chile, who was shot in the brain at a point-blank range with .44 Magnum, after 36 hours operation without sleeping. Then came the accusation. They revoked my license. I started this business, to keep myself busy. But it's not real. You're just cutting flesh and skin, stuffing silicone and sewing it back. Any sixth grader, who knows how to dice a frog, can do it. I could have saved a lot of lives if they just reinstate me. Julia, but you assist a helpless patient to commit suicide. That's involuntary manslaughter. You could have gone prison for a long period. Roman, he was dying. I did everything in my power to save his life. My God. You should have seen his brain's MRI. He took too long. He has 5 tumors the size of ping pong in his brain. Julia, still you cannot break the law, even if he had a tumor the size of a basketball ball. You're not God. Roman, first, for the record, I didn't assist him. Second, where was God when the tumor spread in his brain, consumed every neuron in his skull and left him with excruciating pain? The guy couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat. He couldn't drink. He couldn't think. He couldn't breathe. He looked for PCI information online. He faked my signature, ordered the drug, and injected into his system. I have nothing to do with his death. Julia, it's okay, Doc. We're not going to hold you responsible for that. I'm just going to ask you one last question. Your secretary told me that you left the office 9 a.m. and returned 11:00 am. Where did you go? Roman, after a long pause I went to see my daughter. Julia, what daughter? Roman, I have a daughter that Kristen doesn't know about. A beat. I met a girl named Emily Patterson who came to have breast implants. We began to have an affair. Later, Emily got pregnant and gave birth to a healthy baby girl. That day, Emily called me and said that my daughter was sick. I came to see them. She then told me she lied. She just wanted me to make love to her. We had sex. I then returned here. Fabian, be nice to your daughter. We'll talk to you some other time. Fabian gives Julia a nod. They exit from Roman's office. On the soundtrack, music comes. Int. Roman Plastic Surgery Center, Roman's office lobby, day. Fabian and Julia walk down the lobby. They come up to the elevator. Fabian presses a button. The elevator doors open. Fabian and Julia enter the elevator. Fabian presses another button inside the elevator. The elevator doors close behind Julia and Fabian. Int. Roman Plastic Surgery Center, Roman's office, day. Roman remains in his seat, sweating emotionally. He takes out a cigarette, lights it and smokes. EXT Roman Plastic Surgery Center, Fabian's Aston Martin, day. Fabian and Julia walk down the sidewalk. Fabian, you keep surprising me. You're not a real FBI agent, are you? Julia, it's pure acting. Fabian, you make Jodie Foster's Clarice Starling the girl next doors. Julia, acting is in my blood. My mother was an actress in Broadway. My father is a musician and part-time actor. My grandfather was a director. My great-grandfather and mother were stars in the 90s. I came from a long line of performing artists and entertainers. Fabian, I see. Julia, my aunt, who is also an actress, always tell me you have to prepare yourself for fame. I might return to acting. I have always loved doing films. Fabian and Julia cross the street and come up to their Aston Martin convertible, parked next to the sidewalk. Fabian gets behind the wheel. Julia gets in the passenger seat. Fabian starts the car. They drive away. Int. Fabian's convertible Aston Martin, moving, day. Fabian and Julia drive in the street of New York City. Julia, what about you? You're smart, beautiful and suicidally risque. What's your secret? Fabian, I don't have any secret. I just fall in love easily. Julia, are you in love with me? Fabian, I saw you for half second and fell in love with your eyes before my heart beat. Julia, I don't believe you. Fabian, I thought it was prophesied. I had a dream about a girl who looked exactly like you before I laid my eyes on you. I don't know who she was doing and what she was doing. She gave me a beautiful smile and disappeared before my eyes. And when I saw you, I swear my heart dropped in belly and stopped beating for a full minute. I felt the pain on my solar plexus. I knew you were the girl from my dream. And this passion that I never thought it could exist came out of nowhere, took a hold of my soul, and brought tears to my eyes. But I didn't want to cry. Most girls don't like sensitive guys. I just went to the corner, grabbed my penis over my pants, and twisted it so hard. The tear goes away. Fight pain with pain. I worked like meditation. But I couldn't walk straight. Julia smiles in beauty. Julia, I have a medicine for your pain. She takes off her underwear, throws it out of the car, gets up, comes up to Fabian and sits on his lap. They kiss as the car wobbles in the street. On the soundtrack, music plays. Int. Hotel 3, Fabian and Julia's new suite, bedroom, night. Fabian and Julia make love surrounded by candles. It is sensual, alluring, steamy, and passionate. We see Julia going through all kinds of sexual rapture. We stay with them with series cut as they go at it with various sexual positions. Fade to, black. Vision. Volume 2. Fade in. Int. Hotel 3, Fabian and Julia's suite, bedroom, morning. Fabian and Julia sleep. Julia rests on Fabian's chest with closed eyes. Fabian looks at her as if she is the most beautiful soul that God has ever created. Fabian then hears sounds outside, gun loading and cocking. Fabian quickly gets up. Fabian, Julia. He wakes her up. Julia opens her eyes. Fabian, put on your cloth. We have to get out of here. The door is kicked open. Two bad guys enter with machine guns and fire at Fabian and Julia. Fabian takes Julia from the bed. They roll on the bed and fall on the floor. Out of nowhere, Fabian pulls out a modern gun. He shoots and kills both of them. Bow. 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 Light speed. Fabian picks Julia up. He grabs his pants. Fabian, to Julia, put on your cloth. Both Julia and Fabian put on their clothes. Julia, what's going on? Fabian, I don't know. We have to leave. They walk toward the exit. As soon as they exit, bad guys 3 and 4 shoot at them with machine guns. Fabian pulls Julia back to the room and hide by the door. Fabian and Julia's suite and hallway. The bad guys continue to fire at them. Fabian then comes out of the hide and fires at the bad guys. Bow. 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 Fabian hits bad guy 3 in the chest. He falls and dies. Fabian then shoots bad guy 4 between his eyes. Bow. Fabian takes Julia's hand. They walk down the hallway and come up to the elevator. The elevator doors open, revealing 4 bad guys who are carrying machine guns. Fabian shoots and kills all of them like Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Light speed. Bow. 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 Julia is speechless. Int. Hotel 3, elevator, day. Fabian and Julia get into the elevator. Fabian presses a button, lobby. The elevator moves down. Int. Hotel 3, lobby, day. We see Carson, the leader, and 5 bad guys, mercenaries, standing at the lobby, carrying machine guns. They're waiting for Fabian and Julia. Int. Hotel 3, elevator, moving, day. The elevator continues to move down with Fabian, Julia, and 4 dead bad guys. There is silent moment. Fabian presses a button, floor 2. The elevator continues to move down. It then stops at floor 2. Fabian and Julia exit. Int. Hotel 3, second floor, day. Fabian and Julia walk down the hallway. They come up to the window. Fabian opens the window. EXT Hotel 3, fire escape and back alley, day. Fabian and Julia exit through the window, take the fire escape, staircase, and reach the ground at the back alley. 4 bad guys appear with machine guns and fire at Fabian and Julia. Fabian pulls Julia's arm. They hide behind a trash container. The bad guys continue to fire at Fabian and Julia. Fabian comes out of the hide and fires at them. Bow. 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 Light speed. He kills all 4 of them. Yet Fabian is shot. He touches the side of his abdomen. There is blood. He ignores it. Fabian, to Julia, come on. Fabian gives Julia his hand. She takes his hand. They walk down the alley. New York City street. Fabian and Julia turn at the next street and walk down the sidewalk. Fabian waves his hand for a taxi. A taxi stops next to Fabian and Julia. Fabian and Julia get into the taxi. The taxi drives away. Int. Taxi, moving, day. The taxi driver is a Rastafarian. Fabian takes out $800 and gives him the money. Fabian, 1274 Catonsville. Keep the change. Julia, where we going? Fabian, this place I got in Staten Island. She looks at the blood on Fabian's shirt. Julia, my god. You got shot. Fabian, it's okay. I'll be fine. Fabian covers his wound with his hand. Julia, let me see it. Fabian, it's nothing. She pushes his hand aside and looks at the wound. Julia, it doesn't look good. We have to go to hospital. Fabian, it's only a flesh wound. Don't worry about it. Fabian kisses her on the lips. EXT taxi, moving, day. An established shot of the taxi as it continues to drive in the street of New York City. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, aerial view of New York City, and others. EXT Fabian's house 2, day. Fabian applies the security code on the wall. But the code says access denies. Fabian breaks the glass on the door with his gun, and opens the door from inside. Julia, whose house is it? Fabian, it's mine. Off her look. I have houses everywhere. They enter. Int. Fabian's house 2, living room, day. Fabian and Julia come to the main living room. Julia looks around. It is a gorgeous living room. Julia, it's a beautiful house. Fabian, walking toward the kitchen. Do you want anything to drink? Julia, do you have a Coke? She follows him to the kitchen. Kitchen. Fabian opens the refrigerator. Fabian, I have Mountain Dew. Julia, it's fine. I'm thirsty as hell. Fabian grabs a can of Mountain Dew, opens it and gives her the soda. Julia takes the soda and has a sip. In the meantime, she looks at his wound. Julia, you should go to hospital. Fabian, don't worry about it. Collects his shirt and shows her his wound. It's only a flesh wound. I'll be fine. He quickly covers it. Julia, let me see it again. Julia looks at Fabian's wound. It is a nasty cut. But Fabian can live with it. Julia, I'll cover it with medical bandage. Do you keep first aid around? Int. Fabian's house 2, dinner room, later. Fabian stands at the dinner table. Julia slowly cleans Fabian's wound, applying first aid on his wound and covering it with a medical bandage. Julia, why are those guys trying to kill us? Fabian, I don't know. A beat. I guess they want to keep us quiet. Julia, how do they know we were at the penthouse? Fabian, that's a good question. I think they're following us with satellites. Julia, what satellite? Int. National Security Headquarters, Intelligence Room, night. We see a group of highly skilled computer specialists that consist of Elliot, Cody, Floyd, Jake, Natalie, Jessica, Tim, Bruce, and Kate working behind all kinds of advances computer system, satellite surveillance and multiple TV screens under Richard Stewart's supervision. Richard stands in the middle of the room, looking at the multiple TV screens on the wall. Richard, where are they? Elliot types something in his computer. On the TV screens, clear high-definition images, not images that we get from regular satellites but 3D rotatable video and clear virtual reality image. We see Fabian and Julia entering into Fabian's second house. Fabian getting a soda for Julia. Julia fixing Fabian's wound. Fabian and Julia getting into Fabian's yellow Ferrari Enzo convertible and driving, etc. There are a couple of minutes difference from the actual time. EXT/int. Fabian's Ferrari Enzo convertible, moving, day. Fabian, who is behind the wheel, and Julia, who is in the passenger seat, drive in the street of New York City. Julia, where are we going? Fabian, Brooklyn. Julia, what's in Brooklyn? Fabian, I have to see a friend in Boerum Hill. EXT Fabian's Ferrari Enzo convertible, moving, day. An established shot of Fabian's Ferrari Enzo convertible driving in the street of New York City. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, and others. EXT Primus's house, day. It's a Primus's multi-million-dollar villa. We see swimming pool, striking garden tennis court, huge water fountain with a statue of Primus, himself, with wings, riding a horse, carrying a sword, and slaying a dragon and demons, and rescuing a beautiful princess. Int. Primus's house, garage, day. It is huge garage. We see 20 of the most expensive ultra-modern cars in the world, Mercedes SLR, Celine S7, Ferrari Enzo, SSC Ultimate Aero, LeBlanc Mirabeau, Aston Martin 1-77, Lamborghini Reventon, Pagani Zonda Sync, Bugatti Veyron 16.4 Grand Sport, Koenigsegg CCXR and many more. Primus comes up to his Bugatti Veyron, gets behind the wheel, starts the car, drives down the garage, and exits from the house. EXT Primus's Bugatti Veyron, moving, day. Primus drives in the street of New York City. EXT Vanity Golf Club, day. It is a breathtaking golf course. Primus swings his club and hits the ball. The ball flies over the green and lands on the grass, next to the hole. Primus gets behind his golf cart and drives down the course. EXT Vanity Golf Club, putting green, day. Primus places the ball in the hole and writes down the score. Int. Vanity Golf Club, restaurant, day. Primus sits at a table having lobster and a glass of wine. There are a couple of customers enjoying their outing. Out of nowhere comes Fabian and sits at Primus's table. Primus is surprised to see Fabian. Fabian, what's up? Primus, hey. Primus is about to get up and greet him. But his hands are a little bit dirty from the lobster. Fabian, it's okay, man. You don't have to get up. He gives him his fist. Primus connects his fist with Fabian's fist, greeting. Primus, I heard you escaped from prison. Fabian, nothing to worry about. Primus, so, how are you? Fabian, trying to keep my head above water. Primus, keeping your head above water is not enough in these days and age. You have to walk on it, like Jesus Christ, or you will be history. Primus, that's true. But I watched you golfing. I'm surprised you have improved a lot since the last time we played together. Primus, I'm planning to turn to pro. Fabian, it's good to hear that. Primus, what brought you here? Fabian, I came to ask you few questions. There is a pause. Primus, what's it? Fabian, where did you go that day after we talked? Primus, how can you ask me that question, Fabian? I'm your friend. Out of nowhere comes Julia and sits at the table. Julia, just answer the question. Friendship has nothing to do with it. Primus looks at her. Fabian, off Primus's look. Primus, this is Julia Cisco. Julia, hi. Primus, hi. Fabian, I know what you're thinking. How can I be charged for the murder of a girl while she's still alive? All those courtroom drama makes no sense. It's crazy. We're living in parallel universes where she's dead in one universe. At the same time, she's alive in another. For some unknown reason, these two universes merge into one reality. You know how quantum theory works better than a lot of people. We're in the middle of investigating the death of Julia Cisco. Julia, where did you go after you left Tiffany Coffee Shop on June 23, 2051? Primus, what's this, Fabian? Do you think I killed her? Julia, did you do it? Primus, no I didn't. Julia, so, answer the question. Primus, I've already told the police. I went to see Mary. Julia, we talked to her. She changed her story. She said she never saw you that day. She lied about everything, because you paid her $5 million. Primus says nothing. Julia, you were the only person who knew that forever young causes infertility. And if the truth came out, you would lose billions. You killed her and framed it on Fabian. Primus, looking at Fabian, it's not true. I knew the drug causes infertility. You remember that night at the party? You told me forever young might cause infertility. I left the party early, came to your lab. I reviewed your experiment and informed Mr. Lucifer the side effect. Maybe, he had something to do with her death. I'm not sure. But I didn't kill her, Fabian. Whoever killed her might have killed her while we were sitting at the coffee shop and talking. After I left the coffee shop, I just drove around. That's how I deal with stress. I lied, because I didn't want to take a chance. The police don't usually believe you if you tell them you were driving around, while someone was lying dead. Julia, so, why should we believe you? Only serial killers drive around after they stabbed someone 14 times in cold blood. Primus, how can you let her talk to me like this, Fabian? We have been friends since high school. Fabian, first, like she said, friendship has nothing to do with it. Seconds, she's killed because we created a drug that might wipe out the entire human race from the face of the earth in the near future. Primus, Fabian. I'm doing everything in my power to convince those guys. Out of nowhere 5 mercenaries break through the window and fire at Fabian and Julia. Fabian quickly grabs Julia and hits the floor. The mercenaries continue to fire at them. Fabian takes out his gun, fires, and kills the first two mercenaries. Bow. 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 Fabian then spins around, shoots and kills the remaining three mercenaries. Bow. 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 6 more mercenaries come through entrance 1 and entrance 2 and fire at Fabian and Julia. Fabian rolls with Julia. He kicks the table. The table falls. Fabian uses the table as a shell. Fabian then comes out of the hide, and shoots at the bad guys. Bow. 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 He kills all 6 mercenaries, light speed. Fabian looks at Primus. He is shot dead. Fabian grabs Primus's car key from the floor. Fabian, let's get out of here. Fabian takes Julia's hand. They walk toward the exit. EXT Vanity Golf Club, open parking lot, day. Fabian and Julia come to Primus's convertible Bugatti Veyron. Fabian gets behind the wheel. Julia gets in the passenger seat. Fabian starts the car. They drive away. Int. Convertible Bugatti Veyron, moving, day. Fabian and Julia continue to drive in the street of New York City. Julia, how did they find us? Fabian, I told you they were looking at us with satellites. Julia, I thought you were kidding. Fabian, no I wasn't. It was me who helped them finance the project. Julia, what do you mean finance the project? Fabian, I thought they were going to build satellites that map the universe and find potential multiverse. I gave them $12 billion. But instead, they built 4 advanced satellites that look down Earth, and track down every living soul and record their actions. Julia, so, that means they have the video of Julia from Parallel Universe. They know who killed her. Fabian, it is possible. Julia, why don't you ask them to give you a copy? Fabian, it's completed. Julia, is it as complicated as I am alive in one universe and dead in another? Fabian, not that complicated. You know, I only have 1% share. As a matter of fact, Lucifer owns all the satellites in space. EXT Primus's convertible, day. An established shot of the convertible as Fabian and Julia continue to drive in the street of New York City. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, satellite view of New York City from space, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Headquarter, Times Square, and others. Int. Blue's house, night. Fabian and Julia sit at a table with glasses of wines. There are a couple of customers, enjoying their outings. On the stage, a girl named Jessica sings Sam Cooke's I Love You for sentimental reason. Fabian, I might have made a mistake. Julia, what mistake? Fabian, these people had never met you before. I think I might have introduced you to the killer. Julia, I don't get it. Fabian, all these parallel universes and hidden extra-dimensional of space and time that are interwoven and merged together are created by our quantum perception. We created new reality each nanosecond. We might have created a parallel universe, where I led the killer to you. Julia, who's the killer? Fabian, it could be any of those people that we talked to. A beat, according to quantum mechanics, there are hidden worlds where the future happens before the past. The past occurs in the future. Time jumps back and forth as it pleases. In the sense, our solar system is a glitch in the matrix. The universe itself is a particle, a speck in the eternal void. Space is quantum vibration. Time is a shift. We don't know if an action take place in the past, in the present or in the future. We don't know what the actual time is. What month and the year are. It says 9 p.m., June 6, 2052 right now. But when you look away, it's November 25, 2014 Christmas. We're in the past. At the same time, we're actually in the year 3000 celebrating millennium. Everything around you is illusion that's created by your mind, to make sense out of this unpredictable reality. Julia is done. Julia, you're crazier than I thought. The year 3000 celebrating millennium. The only reason I bought your bullshit is because I fall in love with you the moment I saw you. But this is too much. I can't take it anymore. I'm leaving you. She gets up to leave. He holds her arms. Fabian, wait. I'm not making up these things. Julia, just leave me alone. She pulls her arms away from Fabian's grip and walks toward the exit. EXT Blue's house, night. This audio file was created by Panopreter Basic. You can download it at www.panopreter.com. Julia exits and walks down the sidewalk. Fabian exits and follows her. Fabian, wait. Fabian holds her. Fabian, can you give me a chance to explain? Julia, put yourself in my position. If someone walked up to you, told you that you were dead, and showed you magazines and newspapers that had your names and images, later he or she broke out of prison and asked you to find the killer, would you believe them? Fabian, I would. Because it happened to me. I met you. I had the best time of my life. Then someone killed you. They framed me for your murder. I can't offer to lose you again. It's not fair. Julia, how do you know all this is true? It could be your mind is playing tricks on you. Fabian, no, it's not. Julia, it's a conspiracy theory. They staged everything. They opened your brain and placed microchips to drive you crazy. You should get MRI. It's a setup. They killed someone who looked like me. You thought it was me. Fabian, no. That's impossible. I met you at the party hosted by Forever Young. We fell in love at sight. We made love. Later, someone killed you. Julia, I'm not dead. I'm alive. If you can't accept that fact, how can we continue to be together? Fabian, because I'm telling you the truth. Everything is illusion. Our action shapes reality. We can be multiple places at the same time where universes exist in quantum fragments. We can rewrite the past. Manipulate the present, reanimate the future, despite the fact it's already played out, infinite parallel universes, infinite possibilities. We're in the position to reverse time itself and relive each experience of our existence as new. Julia, I'm beginning to believe you lost it. You're having a nerves breakdown. Fabian, I might be having a nerves breakdown. But I can't let anyone harm you again. I love you more than my heart bleeds, more than anything in the universe. You're my theory of everything. He kisses her. She kisses him. They kiss more hungrily and passionately. Int. Hotel 4, Suite, Night. Top floor. It's a luxurious suite. We see the spectacular view of New York City through the window. The door opens revealing Fabian and Julia who are kissing French fervently. Fabian and Julia enter, kissing. They remove each other clothes fanatically. They kiss more passionately and fall on the bed. Fabian then caresses her neck, kisses her breasts, slowly goes down and begins to give her oral pleasure. Close up, Julia. Julia takes deep breaths. Her face goes to all kinds of sexual phases. Int. Hotel 4, Suite, Night. Fabian and Julia make love. It is sensual, steamy, seductive, and passionate. Fabian is killing it, entering her soul enchantingly. Julia is burning with sexual passion, scratches Fabian's back with her nails. We stay with them with serious cuts as they go it with various sexual positions. Int. Hotel 4, Suite, Bathtub, later. Fabian and Julia sit in the bathtub. Julia rests on Fabian's chest with her eyes closed. Fabian sits behind reciting a poem Because She Would Ask Me Why I Loved Her by Christopher Brennan from memory, while planting soft kisses on her shoulder. Fabian, softly down by her neck. If questioning would make us wise. No eyes would ever gaze in eyes. If all our tale were told in speech. No mouths would wander each to each. Were spirits free from mortal mesh. And love not bound in hearts of flesh. No aching breasts would yearn to meet. And find their ecstasy complete. For who is there that lives and knows the secret powers by which he grows? Were knowledge all, what were our need? To thrill and faint and sweetly bleed? Then seek not, sweet, the if and why. I love you now until I die. For I must love because I live. And life in me is what you give. Julia smiles in beauty. He kisses her on the shoulder. There is a silent moment. She then. Julia, I think they don't care if the drug causes infertility or cancer. They're making a ton of money. Why should they expose the side effect? If they don't care, why should you care? Fabian, the people deserve to know the truth. It's bad karma. If I don't do something about it, I'll be robbing a lot of people's dreams. But above everything, I must find out who killed you and reverse your fate. Julia, how do you reverse my fate if I'm dead and alive at the same time? Fabian, you see, even though you're alive and dead simultaneously, if we find out the person who killed you, we can reverse time. We can automatically go to the date that you were killed, and undo everything and restore order to the cosmos. Julia, how? Fabian, it's mathematics. I calculated it the other day but left the formula at my other house. Julia, how did you calculate it? Fabian, it's complicated. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. My family has history of these weird senses of time and awareness of space interval. For instance, my grandfather used to see things that exist in parallel universe. They thought he was paranoid schizophrenia. They gave him pills that slow down the brain activity. But he continues to write groundbreaking formulas that proves the existence of parallel universes. The government has neither the money nor the resource to make the machine using the formula, and test the theory. It would cost quadrillions. Maybe in near future, they will conduct the experiment and access these hidden dimensions. Nonetheless, I see all kinds of mathematical principles floating everywhere, and how the universe is programmed as if they're part of my respiration system. Julia, you must have super brain. Fabian, under his breath you have no idea. They kiss French. Int. Matt's yacht, morning. We see Matt's dead body lying in the deck, shot in the head. Matt's blood is all over the boat. Angelina and forensic team, Luke and Jody, collect evidence. Toby photographs the corpse. John comes up to the crime scene. John, to Angelina what you got? Angelina, Matthew Calloway. He's shot at point-blank range. The killer left a gold of Kinabalu orchid in the deck. John, they just found a man named Kai Hudson in Upper West Side. The killer slit his throat and threw his body in his swimming pool. He also left a gold of Kinabalu orchid in the pool. Flashback, Kai's villa, we see the dead body of Kai floating in the swimming pool. A gold of Kinabalu orchid floats on the water that has gone through entropy with Kai's blood. NYPD forensic team collects evidence. A forensic photograph takes pictures of Kai's dead body. Back to Matt's yacht. John looks at Matt's body. Angelina looks at her note. Angelina, Mr. Calloway served 5 years for security fraud. I don't think he is murdered by a stranger. John's cell phone rings. John picks it up. John, on the phone Detective Wyatt. John listens to what the caller in the other end has to say without responding. He then. John, on the phone thanks, Dave. He hangs up. John, I think we have a serial killer in our hands. They just found 2 more bodies. One is shot in the head at point blank. And the other is stabbed with a syringe in the neck multiple times. The killer left gold of Kinabalu orchids in both places. Quick flashback, 1. Mark's office, the body of Mark lies on the floor behind his desk, shot in the head. There is blood on the wall. NYPD forensic team collects evidence. A forensic photograph takes pictures of Mark's dead body. We see a gold of Kinabalu orchid on Mark's desk. Quick flashback, 2. The dead body of Roman lies on the floor, stabbed in the neck with a syringe. We see the syringe in Roman's neck and blood on the floor. CSI and NYPD forensic team collect evidence. A forensic photographer takes photos of Roman's dead body. There is a gold of Kinabalu orchid on the floor. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, high buildings, and others. Int. Coffee shop and restaurant, day. Fabian and Julia sit at a table with coffee and muffins. Julia, what's really quantum mechanics? Fabian grabs a regular sugar bag from sugar container. Fabian, just think of the universe as like this sugar bag. It's composed of ordinary matter like atoms, molecules, stars, and galaxies, some dark matter, antimatter, and dark energy that exists even in completely empty space and others. He places it on the right side of the table and grabs salt, cream, Splenda, equal, and sweet and low 0-calorie sweeteners. Fabian, take these salt, cream, 0-calorie sweeteners. You see, our universe is just one of the billions universes if not infinity that exists in the hypercosmos. There are universes that consist of gases, stars, galaxies, dark matter, and matters that can and can't be found in our universe. They come with all kinds of flavor. We have here salt, cream, Splenda, equal, and sweet and low. Fabian places them next to the sugar. Fabian, in fact, space is infinite. There are infinite cosmic structures that we can't fathom. But that's a different story. He grabs the first regular sugar. Fabian, yet take this universe and place it in your coffee. Fabian tears the bag and places the sugar in his coffee. Fabian, take second universe. Fabian tears the salt and places it in his coffee. Fabian, and add it in your coffee. Fabian grabs the cream. Fabian, take third universe and place it in your coffee. Fabian tears the cream and places the cream in his coffee. Fabian, take all 0-calorie sweeteners, and add them in your coffee. Fabian grabs all 0-calorie sweeteners, Splenda, equal, and sweet and low, tears the bags and adds them in his coffee. He then stirs the coffee with a spoon. Fabian, then stir it. You get pure madness. That's quantum mechanics. You could say this is quantum mechanics in the cosmic scale. You know, compared to infinity. There are extra-dimensional of space and time, invisible worlds right in front of us that we can't see. In this coffee case, once entropy, the second law of thermodynamic, takes place, it's almost impossible to undo things. Yet in quantum world, the law that governs particles are different from the larger objects. In the smallest scale, particle can be more than one place at a time. They exist everywhere. Time plays in reverse. A tiny particle can pop out of thin air, containing all the energy that exists in the universe, and form parallel universes, hidden worlds that exist in the same space and time with our universe. For instance, take this coffee, even though all the sugar, cream, sweeteners, and salt are mixed together. The sugar is not aware of the existence of the salt. The cream is not aware of the sweeteners. They're in different dimensions. And there are infinite copies of you, me, and everybody thrive in these hidden realities. Julia, that's interesting. Fabian, ironically, that's just in the smallest scale. The laws that govern the multiverse is so deep, it'll take mankind another billion years to develop brain that help us understand some of the principles that keep them intact, let alone what's after multiverse, the concept of a god, and infinity. Julia, I hear you. Fabian, I mean. Like when I was 6 years old. My father took me to my first baseball game at Yankees Stadium. I watched the 9th inning twice. I knew the Yankees were going to win in triple play with the base loaded before everybody, as if I was watching replay. Julia, you're freaking me out. Fabian, later, I was 12. I went to the stadium for the 2032 American League Championship Series with my friend. Game 6. A must-win game for Yankees. They were down 2-3 against the Boston Red Sox. I saw Felix Jones strike out. The Yankee lost the game 5-3. Time replayed. I took the ball from my friend, a foul ball that he caught during the game, and threw it as hard as I can. The ball rolled down the grass and stopped in the middle of the field. The umpire stopped the game. They removed the ball. Yet it broke the pitcher's focus. Jones hit a home run on the same pitch and scored 3 runs. The Yankees won 6-5. They beat the Red Sox Game 7, and went out to win the 2032 World Series, beating the Dodgers 4-2. Julia, have you thought about it? You might have taken the next evolutionary ladder? Fabian, it's possible. But I don't know anything about evolutionary ladder. Nevertheless, a little change can affect the outcome of the whole game. And according to quantum mechanics, the 9th inning happens at the 1st inning. The 1st inning happens in the 7th inning. The 7th inning happens in the 2nd inning. You watch the Yankee pitcher pitching for the Red Sox, against his own team. The Red Sox players hitting for Yankees. All possibilities are played out in parallel universes. You have a universe where the Boston Red Sox actually won the series. Julia, that's crazy. Fabian takes out 2 pages of formula and shows her the formulation. Fabian, you see this formula? It shows you how parallel universes, extra-dimensional of space and time, the past, the present and the future, and creation itself come to a single point upon your death and branch out into quantum phenomenon, which means as soon as we find the person who is responsible for your death, we can reverse time and bring order to the cosmos. If this goes into loop, it'll be the absolute distraction of the universe. It'll be blackout. And your death will be unpreventable reality throughout eternity, literally speaking. Julia, so, what are you going to do about it? Fabian, to be honest, I have no idea. I think I'm just gonna. Tear gases break through the window and begin to fill the coffee shop with smoke. In the meantime, bullets, from machine guns, piece the glass window and hit everything. Bow. 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 Fabian quickly grabs Julia and falls on the floor with her, shelling her from potential lethal bullets. EXT coffee shop and restaurant, day. We see Carson and 10 mercenaries standing with machine guns and firing at the restaurant. Bow. 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 Int. Coffee shop and restaurant, day. A lot of people get shot. Bow. 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 Fabian and Julia remain on the floor. Fabian holds his breath naturally. Julia begins to cough. Fabian takes Julia's hand. They begin to walk toward the kitchen as hell of bullets continue to tear down the place. Bow. 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 EXT coffee shop and restaurant, day. Carson gives his men a sign to stop firing. They follow the order. Carson gives Blake, his right-hand man, and the first 4 mercenaries a nod to go check it out. Blake and the 4 mercenaries put on their gas masks and enter the restaurant, pointing their guns. Int. Coffee shop and restaurant, day. The restaurant is covered with tear gas. Some of the costumers cover their mouths with their clothes while coughing. Others lie on the floor dead. Blake, who is carrying futuristic laser identifying video, and searches for Fabian and Julia, pointing the live at each costumer, dead and alive. EXT coffee shop and restaurant, back alley and street, day. Fabian and Julia walk down the alley. Next block, street. 5 mercenaries, carrying machine guns, stand by their black GMC SUVs at the next street. Fabian shoots and kills all of them in a heartbeat. Bow. 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 Julia can't believe it. This guy is a natural-born killer. EXT street, open parking lot, day. Fabian and Julia come up to a black 24's Mercedes. Fabian opens the door with his magic key. Julia, is it your car? Fabian, no, it's not. Julia, where did you get the key? Fabian, I have a magic key that opens almost anything. EXT/int. Mercedes, day. Fabian gets behind the wheel and opens the door for Julia. She gets in the passenger seat. Fabian starts the car. They get onto the street and drive away. EXT/int. Mercedes, moving, night. Fabian and Julia driving in the street of New York City. Julia, I don't know what I got myself into. My heart is pounding like a drum. Fabian, it's okay. I'm not going to let anybody hurt you. Julia, you're not going to let anybody hurt me? Is that supposed to be a joke? They're following us with satellites. Then out of nowhere come 5 bad guys riding motorcycle. Fabian looks at them in the rear view mirror. Motorcycle 1 gets closer, takes out a machine gun, and begins to fire at them. Fabian steps on the gas. The car speeds down the road with full speed. Motorcycle 2 comes by Julia and fires at the window. It seems the windows are semi-bulletproof. Yet a bullet passes through window that has a hole and hits the dashboard. Julia screams and hides in panic. Fabian drives at him. Motorcycle 2 easily gets away. Fabian tries his best to outrace them, dodging bullets that are fired at Julia and him, driving faster, switching lanes, speeding like hell gone wild, etc. Motorcycle 1 catches up with the Mercedes and fires at Fabian as if he were the last action hero. Fabian ducks down by the dashboard and drives at the direction of the motorcycle. Motorcycle 1 gets away. Motorcycle number 3 passes 1 and 2, comes up to the Mercedes, and fires at Fabian and Julia. Fabian takes out his gun, rolls down the window and shoots him. Motorcycle 3 goes down. After breathtaking chase scenes that make Bourne Supremacy car chase scenes rated G, it comes to the point where Fabian and Julia drive through a narrow road, back alley. Fabian steps on the gas, speeding, then steps on the brake, puts the gear in reverse and drives backward, at the direction of the motorcycles. Motorcycle 1 jumps over the Mercedes and lands flawlessly. Motorcycle 2 gets hit badly. It explodes at the spot. Motorcycle 4 jumps over the Mercedes and lands safely. Motorcycle 5 does the same. Fabian then turns the wheel and gets on the opposite side of the street. The bad guys fire at them. Fabian and Julia drive at the direction of cars that are moving toward their Mercedes. The bad guys turn their motorcycles and continue to follow them, driving at the opposite side of the street, shooting at Julia and Fabian. Fabian and Julia then turn, get in a correct street and speed down the street like rocket, passing one car after another. The motorcycles continue to follow them. They quickly catch up with Fabian and Julia's Mercedes and fire at them. Fabian fires at them back but they dexterously move away. Motorcycles 4 comes up to the Mercedes and shoots at them. Fabian turns his wheel and hits him. Motorcycles 4 runs into a light pole and crashes. Shortly, Fabian hits Motorcycle 1 against oncoming car and takes him out. Fabian and Julia then get chased by the last motorcycle, Motorcycle 5. Fabian and Julia come to one-lane street, speed down the road, turn the car, and stop at a red light, blocking the street, sideway. Fabian takes out his gun and fires at the last motorcycle. Motorcycle 5 comes straight, beeline, shooting at them and jumps Fabian and Julia's car. As Motorcycle 5 is about to come down, a truck hits him 74 miles per hour in the air. Motorcycle 5 breaks into pieces. The track pulls over on the side. Int. Mercedes, day. Fabian looks at Julia. Fabian, are you okay? Julia, I'm fine. They kiss. EXT light, day. The light turns to green. EXT/int. Mercedes, day. Fabian and Julia part their lips. Fabian starts the car, turns the wheel, and they drive away. EXT Mercedes, moving, day. An established shot of the Mercedes with Fabian and Julia as they continue to drive in the street of New York City. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, aerial view of New York City and others. EXT St. John Cathedral, day. An established shot of St. John Cathedral. Mercedes, Fabian and Julia come driving and park the car at the parking lot, outdoor. Fabian and Julia get out of the car and walk toward the church. Raoul, voiceover, love is not about being secured, relieved, and feeling good in this world that we're going to leave behind. Int. St. John Cathedral, day. It is a breathtaking cathedral. We see amazing sculptures and paintings of angels and saints throughout the church. There is a huge statue of Christ on the cross, in the middle of the chapel. A young priest Raoul, 34, preaches the word of God. Raoul, love is not about sleeping at night without the fear of losing what you've got. It's deeper than the stars and universe. Love is seeking eternal life with all your heart and soul. Love is allowing God to be a part of your daily life. Love is finding salvation through Jesus Christ. But the devil is always behind your ears telling you to do something evil. He wants you to sin. He wants you to commit adultery. He wants you to be upset. He wants you to dishonor your family and hate your friends and neighbors. He wants you to be jealous, so he could separate you from the Holy Spirit and leave you defenseless, then take control of your soul, heart, and mind, and lead you to suffering and eventually to hell and eternal fire. He wants you to hurt others. Fabian and Julia walk in and sit in the back row. Raoul looks at them. Raoul, yet again love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Int. St. John Cathedral, later. All the people in the church have left. Fabian and Julia are the only persons who have remained in the church. Raoul walks up to them and sits next to Fabian. Raoul, what's up? Fabian, nothing much. Raoul, what brought you here? Fabian, I'm in trouble. I need your help. There is a silent moment. Raoul looks at Julia. Fabian, to Julia, this is Raoul, my brother. To Raoul, Julia Cisco. Raoul gives Julia his hand to shake. Julia takes Raoul's hand, greeting. Note, Raoul and Fabian are not blood brothers. Raoul's adopted by Fabian's parents. Raoul, pleased to meet you. Julia, likewise. Int. St. John Cathedral, Raoul's underground cocaine factory, day. It's an advanced underground cocaine facility. Cocaine is produced by 100 or more employees. Raoul is a drug dealer. Raoul, Julia, and Fabian walk in the middle of the factory talking. We don't hear what they are saying due to the music on the soundtrack. Then the music plays softly. Raoul, this is pure genetic engineer cocaine. Melting point of 450. No side effect whatsoever. Julia looks at Fabian as if she were telling him what this is. Fabian looks at her as if he were saying I have no idea, turns his attention to Raoul. Fabian, to Raoul, do you remember when we were kids how you used to tell me having 11 kids with 11 different women? And how you were going to train them and make them play for Cuba national football team after they broke your leg? Raoul smiles softly. He remembers it. Fabian, just help us. Forever young causes infertility. Int. Raoul's club and underground casino, night. It is larger than life club and casino. We see people dancing like New Year Eve, exotic dancers dancing nude in cages that are surrounded by fire and wild animals, all kinds of gambling activities, people playing roulette, blackjack, poker, etc. Int. Raoul's club and underground casino, main VIP room, night. Julia and Fabian sit on a sofa. Raoul sits on the main sofa between two extremely beautiful angels, Jessica aka Blue Heart, 22, and Nicole aka Love Potion, 23. On the table, we see all kinds of liquors and the purest cocaine in the solar system. There is a big private bar, an actual bar turned into a private bar. On the wall, we see about 30 TV screens, showing soccer games, music videos, and movies and some of the activities in the club. They all are doing a little bit cocaine while talking about science and philosophy. Fabian, a little bit high from the cocaine, if you observe things around you. Life follows a set of patterns as if things are there waiting for you, predestination. Then there is self-awareness. Yet the minute you try to figure out your existence, time stops in your heart. But your heartbeat continues to tick 1 second at a time. That's usually the case for most primates that walk on 2 feet and have brains that weigh 3 pounds and doesn't know what is going on around the corner. Looks at Julia, yet, every once in a while, someone comes into your life and takes your breath away. Your soul takes a quantum leap. And everything that you thought was real becomes illusion. Raoul, your heartbeat is illusion. Our existence itself is a magic trick. Your self-awareness and your existence are two separate things. Your self-awareness is the product of your neurons and neurotransmitters. On the other hand, your existence is a result of soul that can be multiple places at the same time. However, you only get to choose one life, till you stand up against your fate and say I want more. Then the sky is the limit. Fabian, I couldn't agree more. Yet 4 billion years ago the first DNA formed on Earth. The Earth formed 5 billion years ago. Before that, you had the stars. The universe formed about 13.5 billion years ago in Big Bang. Scientists believe the Higgs boson created first. The building block of the universe, what gives mass to everything. Without Higgs boson, particle will continue to fly at the speed of light into the void. Yet before Higgs boson, there is string. A tiny vibrating energy that appeared out of nowhere. Some believe it started creation in big explosion, containing all the energy in the universe. Then inflation took over, unexplainable fast expansion of space, spreading the energy throughout the darkness. The universe then cooled. Matters closed in under the force of gravity, forming stars, planet, galaxies, and all. A string resides at the core of each particle. And how they vibrate determines the shape of each matter. Yet according to M theory, there are 11 dimensions of space-time. Our universe is actually formed from the collision of two brains. There are parallel universes where the exact copies of each one of us live in harmony. Blue heart, it doesn't mean anything without free will. You know, voices in your head telling you all kinds of lies, and then make you feel miserable, so they could get a kick out of your pain like a bloodthirsty pimp. Raoul, free will is a principle that can only be achieved with faith. Raoul kisses Blue heart on the lips. Julia, a little bit high from the cocaine, let me ask you guys a question. Taking about free will and faith and all. Let's turn the subject to religion. Did Jesus pick Judas to betray him, or Judas chose to betray Jesus? If Jesus picked Judas to betray him, he was destined to fulfill the prophecy. Should Jesus have forgiven him for all the wrongdoing? That is a different question. Jesus knew that Judas was going to betray him before he even asked him to follow him. Because he's God, omnipotent, that created heaven, earth, and the cosmos. God knows everything before it happens. Besides, without Judas, there would be no Jesus on the cross that we love and worship more than anything. Now let's assume, suppose Judas had chosen to betray Jesus with free will, a little bit greed and the devil's influence, will he go to hell and burn for eternity? What is the actual fate of our soul? Love potion, nobody really betrayed Jesus. I think Jesus died for our sin, so we could find ourselves in him as gods and goddesses, and live our life to the fullest. Blue heart, our soul is immortal. It will live infinite lives in infinite universes for eternity. Raoul, that's fucking deep. Get your degrees as soon as possible and work for me. I have all kinds of business establishment throughout the world. I need girls with brains to run the show and keep things in perspective. Raoul kisses both Blue heart and Love potion on the lips. Raoul, anyway, talking about religion. First and above everything, God works in a mysterious way. But the devil is mystery itself that can only be solved with vanity. The Bible tells you, you're the second most important existence next to God. Regardless of what you do, save your soul and live with God in peace for eternity. Simple as that. But still some of us refuse to be number two. We even claim that we're gods. Because nobody feels our pain. Nobody hears what we hear. Nobody sees what we see. We open our eyes. The day begins confused. TV, computers, media, and science shape our lives. We close our eyes. The world closes with us. Maybe there is reincarnation. Someday, we might return to this world. But are we denying ourselves that we're here for an instant in eternity? Or some of us found Jesus, some of us the devil, some of us the truth, some of us love in our heart and felt existence. Maybe few of us waked up. Damn it. It's my time. Should I play it safe and survive? Or take a hit and thrive while everybody is dreaming? Lie if you have to lie, even in order to tell the truth, cheat or take a shortcut if you have to get somewhere, steal if you want to be rich and live a comfortable life. Perhaps, I am speaking behalf of the devil, advocating, but no matter what you do, don't let the moment pass you by. Lolita, Little Wiz, walks in. She comes behind Raoul. Raoul turns around. Little Wiz and Raoul kiss French. They part their lips. She comes around the sofa and sits next to Blue heart. Raoul, to Fabian, this is Lolita aka Little Wiz. She can help you hack into any network and post the message. Little Wiz gives Fabian a wink. Int. Raoul's club, main VIP room, later. Fabian sits on the main sofa, addressing the side effect. Julia and Little Wiz stand behind a video camera, recording Fabian. Raoul, Blue heart, and Love potion stand at the bar, doing more cocaine and making out with kisses, threesome. Fabian, to the video, hi. My name is Fabian Christian. I'm the inventor of Forever Young. A drug that keeps you young for a long period. Montage. Fabian addressing the side effect. Times Square, we see Fabian addressing the side effect in all kinds of digital screens and billboards. Fabian, on the TV screens. But it has side effect. Forever Young causes infertility. Please stop taking it. NYC Gym, we see people exercising, running on treadmills, pedaling stationary bicycles, lifting weights, etc. On the TV sets, Fabian continues to address the message. Fabian, on the TV screens Forever Young causes infertility. It's not good for your health either. Please stop taking it. Sport Bar, we see people watching baseball in multiple TV screens. The game is interrupted by Fabian's message. Fabian, on the TV screens. Hi. My name is Fabian Christian. I'm the inventor of Forever Young. A drug that keeps you young for a long period. Best Buy, video and TV store. It is one of the biggest Best Buy stores in the world. There are hundreds of customers. And there are hundreds of TV screens. Fabian continues to address the message. Fabian, on the TV screens it takes away the greatest joy of life, bringing offspring to this wonderful world. I'm doing everything in my power to fix the problem. CBS TV station, on the TV screens, Fabian continues to address the side effect. The producers and the technicians are doing everything to stop the message. Fabian, on the TV screens, but until then don't take it anymore. Those of you who took it. House, dining room. Two American couples in their mid-40s sit at the dinner table, having dinner while watching TV. On the TV. Fabian continues to address the side effect. Fabian, on the TV screens I advise you to go to fertility hospitals and talk to the doctors. Thanks. White House, the President and First Lady sit at the coffee table with their two daughters, watching TV. On the TV. Fabian continues to address the side effect. Fabian, on the TV screen, to the President. Mr. President. Please stop this evil corporation from poisoning mankind's dream and ending humanity. Thank you. EXT Forever Young, Headquarter, Day. We see hundreds of protesters protesting, paparazzi and journalists moving in chaos, addressing the issue, news, etc. SWAT team, mercenaries, make sure things are not going out of control. Lucifer, his lawyer, Frank, and his two bodyguards, Devin and Jim, exit from the building and begin to walk toward Lucifer's limo as if they had to go to somewhere in a hurry. The paparazzi and the journalists rush toward Lucifer, asking him all kinds of questions as mercenaries push them aside. Journalist number 1, is it true Forever Young causes infertility? Lucifer, walking toward the limo. It's a lie. Journalist number 2, Mr. Christian invented the drug. Why would he say Forever Young causes infertility? Frank, Mr. Christian is a wanted criminal. We leave the matter to NYPD. Journalist number 3, to Lucifer. What if it's true, Forever Young causes infertility? Are you going to shut down a quadrillion-dollar industry? Lucifer, why not? Safety is our number 1 priority. Lucifer gets in the limo. The door is closed. Devin, Jim, and SWAT hold the journalists back. In the background, Frank answers few questions. The limo moves through the crowd, gets onto the main street and drives away. Int. Limo, moving, day. Lucifer talks on the phone. Lucifer, on the phone. What's going on, Richard? Int. Limo/National Security Headquarter, Richard's office, day. It's a luxurious glass office. Richard sits at his desk, talking to Lucifer on the phone. Note, we see both sides of the conversation. Richard, on the phone. They caught us off guard. Lucifer, on the phone. What do you mean they caught you off guard? Richard, on the phone. No problem at all. We'll fix it as fast as we can. It's matter of time. Lucifer, on the phone. I'll be there in few minutes. Lucifer hangs up the phone. We stay with Lucifer. He grabs a scotch, pours it in a glass and drinks everything in one breath. EXT limo, moving, day. An established shot of the limo driving in the street of New York City. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, aerial view of New York City, and others. Int. National Security Headquarter, Intelligent Room, day. Lucifer and Richard talk. In the background, we see Elliot, Cody, Floyd, Natalie, and others working on the surveillance cameras, advanced computers, programs and TV screens that have the video of Fabian and Julia. Lucifer, how can you guys let this happen? I thought you said you got everything under control. Richard, we can still remove the information. We have a software that goes back in time and remove all digital information that they posted. Lucifer, what do you mean? Richard, the information will be erased. Nobody will know about it, except the guys who post the information and the agents that erase the information. Lucifer, wait. Do you guys can go back in time and kill those sons and daughters of bitches? Richard, no. The system can only allow us to go back within a certain period of time and change digital information. Lucifer, okay. Do what you have to do. But I want you to find those squirrels and terminate all of them. I won't tolerate any mistake. Int. Raoul's Club and Underground Casino, Raoul's office, day. Fabian and Little Wiz sit behind Raoul's computer, working on the message that they just post. They see the message disappearing before their eyes. Fabian, what's happening? Little Wiz, damn it. They're removing it. Fabian, what do you mean they're removing it? Little Wiz, I forget to tell you. They have a software that can go back in time and erase all digital information. Fabian, what does that mean? Little whiz, all the information that we posted is lost from people's memories. It doesn't exist anymore. Fabian, that's crazy. I didn't know they can do that. Little whiz, I know the guy who wrote the program. His name is Roy, aka Antichrist. The greatest computer hacker ever. He can write a program as if they were alphabets, phrases, and sentences in fairy tales set in the future. Fabian, can we post it again? Little whiz, no, we can't. They have already sent virus into my account and destroy everything in a blink of an eye. They also shut down all the internet connection in the area. It's the matter of time before they discover us. We must leave as soon as possible. We pull out dexterously as they continue to talk. Int. Raoul's Club and Underground Casino, main floor, day. People continue to dance like New Year Eve in the middle of the day. Exotic dancers continue to dance in the cages. We see all kinds of people doing cocaine, gambling, and others. Then mercenaries storm into the club and begin to kill everything that walks and breathes. Raoul's goons fire at the mercenaries. The bad guys fire and kill Raoul's goons as they continue to advance throughout the club. EXT Raoul's Club and Underground Casino, VIP room, day. Julia, Raoul, Blue Heart, and Love Potion sit at the coffee table doing cocaine. Raoul, we all have one regret, or rather inner demons that lead us to our graves, the Prince of Darkness at the core of our brain. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't take a break. He's always waiting for you to make that mistake, a mistake that you can't walk away. They hear gunshots and people screaming. Raoul gets up and walks up to the bulletproof glass window that shows some of the activities in the main floor. He looks at the chaos. Julia comes up to the window and looks at the shooting. Julia, where is Fabian? Fabian and Little Wiz walk in. Fabian, to Julia, we have to leave. Raoul, wait. There is a secret exit. Follow me. Raoul walks up to his private bar and opens the liquor container, revealing a small compartment where he keeps guns. Raoul grabs a modernistic gun and gives Fabian the gun. He grabs another high gun and gives Julia the gun. He grabs 2 more guns, and gives Little Wiz a gun, and keeps the last gun for himself. Raoul then opens a secret door, next to the bar, revealing a luxurious mirrors room that has a sofa, a spinning bed, a jacuzzi, and TVs. Raoul, to Blue Heart and Love Potion, you ladies get in. Blue Heart and Love Potion get in. Love Potion, where you going? Raoul, I'm going to show them the way out. I'll come and get you later. It's safe. Raoul kisses them on the lips and closes the door. Raoul, to Fabian, Julia, and Little Wiz come this way. Raoul, Julia, Fabian, and Little Wiz exit through door 2. Int. Raoul's Club and Underground Casino, day. Corridor, staircase, first floor. Raoul, Fabian, Julia, and Little Wiz move down the corridor. Out of nowhere come 2 mercenaries, breaking through the window. Fabian fires and kills them. Bow. 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 3 more mercenaries come by the staircase. Fabian turns around, shoots them with amazing speed and kills all 3 of them. Bow. 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 Julia, Little Wiz, and Raoul are impressed by Fabian's killing instinct. 2 more mercenaries appear at the other end of the corridor. Julia and Little Wiz blow them away. Bow. 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 Raoul, Fabian, Julia, and Little Wiz take the staircase and come to the first floor where the action is it, the bad guys shooting at Raoul's bodyguards, and Raoul's bodyguards shooting at the bad guys, and innocent people getting shot in crossfire. 4 mercenaries appear down the floor and fire at Fabian, Julia, Raoul, and Little Wiz. Fabian and Raoul shoot and kill all of them. Bow. 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 Fabian, Julia, Raoul, and Little Wiz move through the chaos. 2 bad guys are about to fire at Fabian and Julia. But Fabian quickly blows them away. Bow. 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 3 more bad guys fire at Fabian and Julia. Fabian holds Julia and dives on the floor with her. He quickly spins around, fires and kills 3 of them. Bow. 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 Raoul and Little Wiz shoot and kill a couple of bad guys. Raoul, Fabian, Julia, and Little Wiz come up to VIP room 2. Raoul quickly types the security code on the wall and opens the door. They all enter. Int. Raoul's Club and Underground Casino, VIP room 2, day. Raoul closes the door, comes up to the bar and opens a liquor container, revealing a secret door. Fabian, Julia, and Little Wiz look at him as he applies the code. Raoul opens the door, revealing a huge private garage. Int. Raoul's Club and Underground Casino, private garage, day. 4 football stadium wide. We see about 300 the most expensive and beautiful cars and motorcycles, new and classic. They make Jay Leno automobile collection look like a small used car dealership. Raoul, Julia, Fabian, and Little Wiz walk in and look at the cars. Julia couldn't believe Raoul has all these cars. Raoul, just pick a car and take it. The key is in the compact glove. Fabian and Julia come up to 2051 Pagani Zonda Sync convertible. Fabian, we'll take this. Raoul, 2051 Pagani Zonda Sync. Good taste. The key is in the compact glove. Little Wiz and I will drive this Lamborghini Reventon. Fabian and Julia get in Pagani Zonda convertible. EXT/int. Pagani Zonda convertible, day. Fabian, who is behind the wheel, opens the compact glove, grabs the key, places it in the ignition and starts the car. Fabian and Julia drive down the garage. EXT Lamborghini Reventon, moving, day. Raoul is behind the wheel. Little Wiz sits in the passenger seat. They drive behind Fabian and Julia's Pagani Zonda convertible. Int. Pagani Zonda convertible, moving, day. Fabian and Julia exit through the main gate that opened automatically. EXT Raoul's Club and Underground Casino, street, day. Pagani Zonda convertible, moving. Fabian and Julia get onto the main street and drive down the road. Traffic light, the light is red. EXT Pagani Zonda convertible, moving, day. Fabian and Julia stop at the light. EXT Lamborghini Reventon, day. Raoul and Little Wiz come driving and stop next to Fabian and Julia's Pagani Zonda convertible. Raoul, if you need anything, come to the church and talk to me. Fabian, sure. Raoul looks at Julia. Raoul, make sure nothing happens to her. He gives her a wink. Fabian, right. The light turns to green. Raoul, take care. Raoul, bye. Raoul salutes Fabian and Julia. Raoul and Little Wiz turn left and drive away. Int. Pagani Zonda convertible, moving, day. Fabian and Julia drive down the road. Close up, Fabian and Julia. Julia, what are we going to do now? Fabian, I don't know. There is a silent moment. Fabian then. Fabian, I think I know who killed you. Julia, who's it? Fabian, Lucifer. Julia, how do you know? Fabian, it's a feeling. Julia, how can he kill me? I've never met him. Out of nowhere comes a helicopter in front of Fabian and Julia's Pagani Zonda convertible and fires a rocket at them. Fabian instinctively turns the wheel and dodges the rocket. The rocket hits a car that's driving behind the Pagani Zonda, a Mazda. The Mazda explodes. Fabian and Julia continue to drive down the street passing one car after another with full speed. The helicopter follows Fabian and Julia's Pagani Zonda convertible, firing at them. Fabian and Julia drive even faster passing more cars with breathtaking speed, almost at the speed of light, figuratively speaking. But it's super fast. The helicopter continues to chase them firing. Fabian and Julia continue to drive the fastest, leaving the helicopter to the dust, and passing everything in front of them as if they were navigating in space. Yet, the helicopter is a speed demon that can turn on the heat in a heartbeat when it is necessary. It gets closer to Fabian and Julia's Pagani Zonda convertible and fires at them another rocket. Fabian looks at the rocket coming at them. He makes another amazing turn and dodges the rocket. The rocket passes Fabian and Julia's Pagani Zonda convertible and hits another car, a Honda. The Honda explodes. Fabian then stops the car in the middle of the street. He quickly gets out of the car and empties his gun at the helicopter bow. 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 As cars passes him by, right and left. Helicopter flies awkwardly. Fabian shoots the pilot in the eye. The pilot holds his face covered with blood. Fabian shoots the engine many times. Bow. 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 The helicopter begins to smoke, spinning in the air. Fabian quickly reloads his gun and continues to empty his gun at the helicopter bow. 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 The helicopter then comes down and crashes in front of Fabian. Fabian just acts cool as if nothing happens. He turns around and gets in the Pagani Zonda convertible. Int. Pagani Zonda convertible, day. Close up, Fabian and Julia. Julia, that was cool. They kiss French. Fabian starts the car. They drive away. EXT Pagani Zonda convertible, moving, day. An established shot of Pagani Zonda convertible with Fabian and Julia as they continue to drive in the street of New York City. Int. Hospital morgue, night. Angelina is in the cold room with a morgue attendant. We see 4 plastic-wrapped corpses lying on stainless steel tables. Attendant, all 4 victims have QR code tattoos on their wrists. It's not random. The attendant draws the sheet back, Roman fin. The attendant scans the tattoo with advanced, futuristic, QR reader. We see a video of Roman Finn performing a brain surgery on a patient in QR reader screen. Attendant, video of Brian surgery. Angelina, he was the leading neurosurgeon, before he was charged for murder and lost his license. He then became a plastic surgeon. We still haven't figured out who killed him. The attendant covers the Roman's corpse and draws the second sheet back, revealing Mark's corpse. He scans the tattoo on Mark's corpse with QR reader. We see a video of a female angel, ballerina, performing ballet on QR reader. Angelina, is she supposed to be an angel? Attendant, I don't know anything about angels, or a ballerina, looks at Angelina's eyes, flirting, except every time I see an attractive woman. I sell my soul to the devil and try to win her heart at all costs. She gives him a look. He turns his eyes, covers Mark's corpse, and draws third sheet back, revealing Kai's corpse. He scans the tattoo on Kai's corpse with QR reader. We see the video of a girl in a wedding gown. There is a name written below, Rachel Cole. Angelina, under her breath, the bride of Casanova. Attendant, there is a name below. It says Rachel Cole. Angelina, that's his wife. She is pretty. But nobody knows if she's alive or dead. She disappeared 10 years ago. He was the main suspect on her disappearance. They thought he might have killed her and gotten rid of her body. But there was not enough evidence to charge him with murder. The case went cold. The attendant covers Kai's corpse and draws the last sheet back, revealing Matt's corpse. He scans the tattoo on Matt's tattoo with QR reader. On QR reader, we see the video of a young woman dancing topless, wearing only underwear. Angelina, to herself, who's she? Attendant, I don't know who she's. She must be someone that he knew dearly. Angelina's phone rings. Angelina picks it up. Angelina, on the phone. What's it, John? Int. Hospital morgue/int. John's convertible, moving, day. 2030 Corvette convertible. John talks to Angelina on the phone while driving in the street of New York City. Note, we see both sides of the conversation. John, on the phone. The forensic found Fabian, Christian and Julia Cisco's fingerprints at all 4 crime scenes. In the background, the attendant covers Mark's corpse. Angelina walks aside. Angelina, on the phone. That's interesting. John, on the phone. I haven't gotten the complete report yet. The forensics are still working on it. Plus homicide in New York County just found a surveillance video of a guy and a girl impersonating FBI agents at Mr. Hudson's house. If I'm not mistaken, the girl is Julia Cisco number 2. And the guy is Fabian Christian. But it's hard to tell. Amazing makeup works. Here, I'll send you the video. Take a look at it yourself. John sends the video with a press of a button, on his cell phone. Angelina looks at the video. On the video, we see Fabian and Julia impersonating FBI agents. Angelina can't tell who they are. She pauses the video. Angelina, on the phone. Where are they now? John, on the phone. I think they're somewhere in New York City. We stay with John. EXT. John's convertible, moving, day. An established shot of John's convertible moving in the street of New York City, while he is talking on his cell phone car as he continues to drive while. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, aerial view of New York City, and others. Int. Theater, day. There are not a lot of people in the theater. We see a couple of empty seats. On the big screen, Double Indemnity is shown. Fabian and Julia sit in the middle of the theater and watch the movie. EXT. Brooklyn Bridge, sunset. Fabian and Julia walk in the Brooklyn Bridge, talking. Julia, I wish I could go back in time and undo everything. You know, that day when you came up to me at the Louvre and asked me what my name was, I should have told you my name was Pisano. She was one of the sirens in Greek mythology, femme fatale who lured sailors with their beautiful voices into shipwreck. You'd have stayed away from me. And all this madness would have never happened. Fabian smiles softly. Fabian, humorously, you could have told me your name were Salome, danced the dance of the 7 veils for me and ordered my execution by crucifixion, since decapitation leaves a little room for imagination, yet I would have still loved you more than life itself. Julia, is that so? Fabian, I swear if you had told me that you were La Belle Dame sans merci, reciting a poem La Belle Dame sans merci by John Keats, A Lady in the Meads. Full beautiful a faery's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light. And her eyes were wild. I saw pale kings and princes too. Pale warriors, death pale were they all. They cried La Belle Dame sans merci. Hath thee in thrall. I would have asked for nothing but a faint kiss, and spend the rest of my life in an abandoned part of my heart where sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. She smiles in beauty. They kiss French. Julia, why can't we just forget about everything? I'm alive right now. That's all it matters. I know where we can get fake passports. We could go to Paris and live a normal life. Fabian, we can do that, but Lucifer will track us down with his satellites and send mercenaries. They'll come and kill us. Julia, if we stay here, they'll kill us too. Fabian, there is a way out. We must reverse your fate. Reverse time. Off her looks, I know it sounds déjà vu, but we must undo your original death and bring order to your soul. Julia, what kind of order are you planning to bring to my soul? They exchange soft kisses. Fabian, you're my soul. Bring order to my soul. I can't live with myself, knowing someone killed you in cold blood. And I'm in the position to do something about it and do nothing. It'll kill me forever. Julia, under her breath, it just doesn't make sense, is all. Fabian, the universe plays out itself over and over in quantum state, which means it could happen again in the near future. It'll happen in the next life. It'll happen for eternity, unless we stop it. Julia, defeated, not giving a fuck, will stop it. They kiss French. Fabian, I'll go talk to Lucifer. Julia, what do you mean you'll go talk to Lucifer? Are you gone mad? He'll kill you. Fabian, I'm just going to ask him few questions. Julia, what few questions? Fabian, where he was on June 23rd and why he still has Forever Young on the market, knowing it causes infertility. You know, disguised as FBI agent. Julia, what are you going to do if he finds out it's you? Fabian, he won't find out. They exchange soft kisses. Julia, no, I can't let you do it. I know what you're going to do. You're going to kill him. It's suicide. She gives him a soft, delicious kiss. Julia, instead I'll go ask him a couple of questions as a real reporter. I'll do it first day in the morning after we make love tonight. They kiss French. On the soundtrack, music comes. Int. Hotel 4, Fabian and Julia's room, night. Fabian and Julia make love. It is seductive, steamy, sensual, and passionate. We stay with them with serious cuts. Montage, New York City. A quick take of New York City, Statue of Liberty, Brooklyn Bridge, Times Square, aerial view of New York City and others. EXT. Forever Young, headquarter, day. An established shot of Forever Young headquarter. Int. Forever Young headquarter, Lucifer's office, day. Lucifer comes up to his private bar, grabs a scotch, and pours it in a glass. Lucifer walks up to his desk with his liquor and sits on the edge of his desk. He looks at the surveillance cameras, while taking sips from his liquor. On the surveillance cameras, we see Julia, wearing a fake eyeglass, walking toward Lucifer's office, escorted by Devin and Jim. Lucifer presses a button as they pass the secretary. The door opens automatically, revealing Julia, Devin, and Jim. Julia, Devin, and Jim enter. Lucifer gives Devin and Jim a nod to leave. They turn around and leave. The door closes automatically. Julia, hi. Lucifer, hi. Julia, I'm Lydia Jones. I write article for Vanity Fair in the new fashion and crime section. You could say I'm an investigating reporter. Lucifer, I've heard of you. I'm the biggest fan of the magazine. They shake hands. Lucifer leads her to the coffee table. Lucifer, have a seat. They sit on sofas. Lucifer, do you want anything to drink? Scotch, Coke? Julia, no thanks. Let me get to the question. Where were you on Saturday, June 23 between 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning? Lucifer, I was with my girlfriend Amber. We played tennis for an hour. We then had breakfast. Later, I watched her practicing ballet at New York Ballet House before I dropped her at her house. I came here around 11:30 p.m. Julia, the security guards said they saw you arriving 10 a.m. in the morning. Were they lying? Lucifer, no. They weren't lying. There is a pause. Julia, so, what's it? Lucifer, I have doubles. They come here, pretending to be me. You know, there are unpredictable people who want me dead. I just want to throw them off guard. Julia takes out a photo of Julia Cisco. Julia, do you know this girl? Her name is Julia Cisco. She was killed on June 23, 2051. Lucifer takes the photo with his left hand and looks at it. Lucifer, I have never seen her in my life. Lucifer returns the photo to Julia with his right hand. Julia sees the QR code tattoo on his wrist. Julia, okay. Thanks for your time. Humorously, that's all folks. She gets up to leave. Lucifer, you finished? Julia, I have one last question. Why do you still have Forever Young on the market? Do you know it causes infertility? Lucifer, it's a lie. Forever Young doesn't cause infertility. It's 100% safe, approved by FDA. Julia, that's what I thought too. Bye. Lucifer, wait. I called Vanity Fair before you got here, and asked them if they knew anyone by the name Lydia Jones. They told me she works there as a columnist. There is a pause. Julia, your point? Lucifer, I checked Lydia Jones's record in the computer. It says she's listed 5'11". You're barely 5 feet 5. Julia, I wear heels. I'm usually listed as 5'11". Lucifer, I believe you. But the real Lydia Jones happened to be here. I just called and asked her out lunch. Lucifer presses a button. The door opens, revealing Lydia Jones, 29. She walks into the office, escorted by Isaiah, bodyguard 3. Lucifer, to Lydia, this is Julia Cisco. Lydia, hi. Julia says nothing. Lucifer, I'll give you a choice. You can come with us and have lunch, or Isaiah will take you to a special room, and ask you few of questions regarding to Mr. Christian's whereabouts. You know, where he is. What he's up to, and why he sent you here. I doubt if you are going to like it. Lucifer removes Julia's fake eyeglass. It is a video camera. He gives Isaiah a nod. Isaiah takes her arm and escorts her out of the office. In the meantime, Lucifer's cell phone rings. Lucifer picks it up. Lucifer, what's it, Mr. Christian? Int. Fabian's Koenigsegg convertible, open parking lot, / Forever Young headquarter, Lucifer's office, day. Koenigsegg Agera convertible, Fabian sits behind the wheel, talking to Lucifer with an earphone and a speaker while watching Lucifer in his cell phone screen. Note, we see both sides of the conversation. Fabian, on the phone, let the girl go. I have something that you might be interested. Lucifer, on the phone, what's it? Fabian, on the phone, I found the cure for infertility. Lucifer, on the phone, I'll talk you later. Lucifer hangs up the phone. Fabian hangs up the phone as well. We stay with Lucifer. Lucifer presses a button on his cell phone. Lucifer, on the phone, to whoever in the other end, I'll be there in a minute. Lucifer gives Lydia a wink and an index finger, 1 second. He walks up to the fireplace and throws the eyeglass in the fire. The glass burns to black. Lucifer comes up to his private bar, grabs a scotch, pours the scotch in a glass and drinks everything in one breath. He puts down the glass, and walks up to Lydia. Lucifer, shall we? Lucifer gives her his arm. She takes his arm. The door opens automatically. They exit. EXT Lucifer's private jet, flying, day. A jet flies in the air. Int. Lucifer's private jet, flying, day. It is a multimillion-dollar luxurious jet. Lucifer sits in the sofa. Lydia sits next to him. Julia sits in front of Lucifer. Devin comes with 2 glasses of whiskeys and places them in front of Lucifer and Lydia. Lucifer, to Julia, I killed you. I can't believe you are still alive. Int. Forever Young HQ, Lucifer's office, flashback, day. Lucifer stands in his well-appointed office, looking at the spectacular view of New York City through the window, while sipping scotch. He then turns around, moves down the office, and puts his scotch on a table, grabs an HDS, hidden dimension spray. Lucifer then removes his clothes, nude, sprays the HDS, walks through the thin air, and comes to Fabian's villa, living room. Int. Fabian's villa, living room and kitchen, flashback, day. Lucifer walks into the kitchen and grabs a kitchen knife. Int. Fabian's villa, bedroom, flashback, day. Julia is asleep. Lucifer walks into the bedroom, nude, carrying the knife. He stands and looks at Julia who remains asleep. Int. Lucifer's private jet, flying, day. Back to, Lucifer and Julia. Lucifer, I killed you, not because I wanted to blame Mr. Christina. I did it, just to see if I could do it. It was the climax point of my life, like Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho when Norman Bates stabbed Marion to death. But it was real, orgasmic, and magical. I thought about fucking your dead corpse, but changed my minds at last seconds. Julia, you're the devil. You're going to burn in hell for eternity. Lucifer gives Jim a nod. Jim, who is standing with a lethal syringe, injects Julia in the neck. Julia falls unconscious in a heartbeat. Isaiah, bodyguard 3, approaches Lucifer with Julia's ID, credit cards, and a small medical package. Zidane. Isaiah, I found these in her bag. It's her ID. Credit cards, and this drug. Lucifer takes the drug and gives Lydia a pill. Zidane. Lucifer, try it. Lydia doesn't even ask what it is. She places the pill in her mouth and downs it with scotch. It hits her right away. Lydia, wow. What's it? Lucifer doesn't know what it is. He sees Lydia engulfed with elation. Lydia, what's going on? I'm floating in the air. I'm having out-of-body experience. They all look at her like, is she tripping? Lydia, I'm 2 places at the same time. Wow. This is crazy. I don't feel myself, as if I'm part of the air. Wow. This is the best feeling ever. Lydia is somewhere, feeling all blissful. Her face glows with ecstasy. Then all of a sudden, Lydia grabs her vagina in sexual rapture. Lydia, breathing in and out and having crazy orgasm. Hugh. What's happening, Hugh, to me? Hugh. She makes all kinds of sexual cries. Close up, Lucifer. Lucifer places the other pill in his mouth and down it with scotch. It hits him right away. We see the expression of his face changing. EXT Lucifer's Island Mansion, day. An established shot of Lucifer's Island house. It looks like drug lords' houses that we see in the movies. Actually, it is a palace, built in a breathtaking beach. We see about 25 bad guys standing and moving with machine guns, securing the area, and guarding the house. Int. Lucifer's Island Mansion, living room 2, day. Julia sits in a chair tied. She seems half-conscious. A cute cat looks at Julia. Lucifer, carrying a knife, talks to Fabian on his cell phone. Wearing S&M and fishnet, Lydia stands behind Lucifer, touching him sexually. Lucifer, on the phone, I don't really care about the cure for infertility. If people want to have kids, they can go to the nearest infertility clinics and have artificial insemination and surrogate babies. Lydia then opens Lucifer's zip and begins to give him a blowjob. Int. Lucifer's Mansion / Koenigsegg convertible, moving, day. Fabian is behind the wheel, talking to Lucifer on his cell phone while driving in the street of New York City. Note, we see both sides of the conversation. Fabian, on the phone, how can you not care about the cure? Lucifer, on the phone, trust me. People would rather stay young than have babies. What I'm interested right now is this drug that I found in your girlfriend purse. What is that? Lydia continues to give Lucifer oral sex. Fabian, on the phone, it's called Zidane, 1000 times more powerful than cocaine, ecstasy, meth, and heroin combine. I have the formula. It's the real thing. I will give it to you for free. Just let her go. Lucifer grabs Lydia's hair as she continues to give him oral sex. He then looks at the cat. Lucifer, on the phone, I will think about it. But if you don't come up with the formula in 2 hours, I'll slice her face regardless to see the expression of her face change, cut out her tongue, and feed it to my cat. I'll then cut her throat and drink her the blood myself. She thinks I am the devil. Who knows? She could be right. Lucifer hangs up the phone. Fabian says motherfucker. Hangs up the phone as well, and puts the phone in his pocket. We stay with Fabian. Fabian focuses on the road. Raoul, voiceover: at some point of your life, the very soul placed in your flesh will be put to the test. The demons will try to crush your spirit. EXT Fabian's Koenigsegg convertible, moving, day. An established shot of the Koenigsegg Agera convertible as Fabian continues to drive in the street of New York. Raoul, voiceover: they will possess you and attempt to destroy your life. EXT St. John Cathedral, day. Fabian comes driving and parks his car next to the church. Fabian gets out of the car and walks toward the church. Raoul, this is not nature versus nurture that you fight with your survival instinct. It's absolute evil. Only the Holy Spirit can ward it. EXT St. John Cathedral, day. Raoul is in the middle of preaching. Hundreds of people sit in the church, listening to the word of God. Raoul, your soul can only be saved by the love of God. Fabian walks into the church and sits in the back. Raoul looks at Fabian. Raoul, Jesus is the only way to eternal salvation, the light, the life, the truth. Yet, the devil will take away your faith. He'll take away your joy. He will take away the fire in your heart. He will confuse you. He will do anything to separate you from the truth, tell you that your life is worth nothing, take away your light, and keep you in the dark. But as long as the very breath of God is manifesting in your soul, no demons shall rejoice on your pain. Once they see the light and find out the light is God the Father, Jesus the Son, and the Holy Spirit, they all flee. Satan will be cast into hell like lightning fall from heaven. Jesus will rule your heart forever. They all say Amen. Int. Raoul's house, living room, day. Raoul and Fabian, who is carrying a tennis bag, come to a huge painting of Al Pacino as Tony Montana and Michelle Pfeiffer as Elvira Hancock in Scarface. Raoul opens the painting like a door, revealing a secret door. He presses the code and opens the door. It's a secret gun room. Int. Raoul's house, living room, gun room, day. We see all kinds of classic and ultra-modern guns, Alpha Combat 2B, Nambu Pistol TR, AK-47B, MP5K, CZ-109, Desert Eagle, Turkish Octal Ghost, Czech, etc. We doubt Raoul keep all these guns to kill human beings. It must be for alien and vision. Raoul and Fabian enter. Fabian grabs 2 futuristic Desert Eagles, puts them in his bag. He grabs a Bursa Thunder 394 and Beretta Cheetah and puts them in his bag. Raoul grabs Steyr TMP. Raoul, you might need this one. Raoul gives Fabian the gun. Tristan takes the gun and places it in his bag. Int. Lucifer's Island Mansion, bedroom, day. Lucifer and Lydia have sex. Lydia is on the top, ridding him like the girl with the dragon tattoo. She is making a lot of sexual sounds. But Lucifer seems lost in thought. He is still carrying the knife. Lucifer gets Lydia on the bottom, kisses her lips, and caresses her neck. He then begins to toy with her, slicing her skin with the knife playfully as they continue to have bloody sex. She can't feel pain for some reason. It could be the drug. Yet, it seems he is about to stab her. We leave it to our sinister imagination. We pull out the bedroom dexterously. EXT Lucifer's Island Mansion, day. The bad guys continue to guard the house. EXT/int. Ocean, Fabian's motorboat, moving, day. Fabian rides the motorboat in the middle of the ocean. EXT Lucifer's Island Mansion, Fabian's motorboat, moving, day. Fabian comes riding to the house with full speed. The boat flies in the air and lands on the sand. Fabian shoots the first 4 bad guys with his 2 Desert Eagles. Bow. 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 The bad guys fall and die. The bad guys fire at Fabian like video game. Fabian dives in the air and hides behind his boat. The bad guys continue to fire at him. Fabian comes out of the hide, fires, and kills 5 more bad guys. Bow. 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 The bad guys continue to fire at him. Fabian dexterously dodges the bullets, like Neo in the Matrix, and begins to kill all of them with breathtaking action sequences. Int. Lucifer's Island Mansion, living room 2, day. Julia remains tied. She is unconscious. Int. Lucifer's Island Mansion, main living room, day. It is a big living room, Buckingham Palace. Fabian walks in. 4 bad guys appear at the other end of the entrance. Fabian shoots and kills all of them, light speed, bow. 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 2 more bad guys, Devin and Jim, walk into the living room, with machine guns, and fire at Fabian. Fabian dives in the air, over the sofa, spins and fires at them multiple times. Bow. 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 While he is still in the air, falling in his back. Fabian's bullets hit Devin in the head and Jim in the chest. They fall and die. Int. Lucifer's Island Mansion, living room 2, day. Julia remains tied. Fabian enters. He comes up to Julia and begins to untie her. Fabian, Julia, it's me. Fabian. Julia barely opens her eyes. Fabian picks her up. She puts her arms around him. Fabian, carrying Julia, walks into the main living room. Int. Lucifer's Island Mansion, main living room, day. Fabian, carrying Julia, walks toward the exit. Then out of nowhere, Lucifer come in the living room, nude, covered with blood. He is carrying a gun, points it at Fabian. Lucifer, put her down. Fabian thinks twice. But he slowly places Julia on the floor. Julia lies on the floor lifeless. Lucifer, get rid of all your guns. Fabian removes his guns from his belt and throws them away. Lucifer, you told me you were going to bring the formula. Where is it? Fabian, I lied. There is no formula. I didn't make the drug. Lucifer looks at Fabian suspiciously. Lucifer, it's cool. It's not that important. Referring to Julia. Don't worry about her. She's drugged with RJP. Romeo and Juliet poison. The reason it's called RJP. It doesn't kill you right away. She's going to sleep for a while like Juliet. Yet, she'll wake up in the darkest place known to creation. Quoting Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Give me my Juliet, and, when she shall die, take her and cut her out in little stars. And she will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night. I bet you're the fan of William Shakespeare. Fabian says nothing. Lucifer, anyway, I'll ask you a question. If I like the answer, I'll spare your life. If I don't, I'll shoot you in the face. Do you believe in God? Fabian doesn't say anything. Lucifer, I'm kidding. I don't really give a fuck if you believe in God or not. God is the devil. The devil is God. They're two sides of the same coin. Fabian remains silent. Lucifer, but seriously, have you ever thought about all this could be illusion? I'm a product of your imagination. I don't really exist. Just take few seconds, and try to remember. All those people that you questioned, and later the police found dead, which you thought they might have killed Julia Sisko, whatever she is, they're the creation of your subconscious. You killed all of them. Montage, flashback, 1, Mark's office, Fabian shoots Mark between his eyes. Mark's blood splatters against the wall. 2, Matt's yacht, Fabian shoots Matt in the head, point blank range, splattering his brain all over the boat. 3, Kai's mansion, Fabian cuts Kai's throat and throws his body in the swimming pool. 4, Roman's office, Fabian stabs Roman with a syringe in the neck multiple times and kills him. Int. Lucifer's island mansion, main living room, day. Back to, Fabian, Lucifer, and Julia. Lucifer continues to point the gun at Fabian. Lucifer, you're a natural-born killer. You're the one who killed Julia Sisko in the first place. Int. Fabian's villa, main bedroom, flashback, day. Lucifer, who is standing nude and holding the knife, looks at Julia who remains asleep. Int. Lucifer's island mansion, main living room, day. Back to, Fabian, Lucifer, and Julia. Lucifer pointing his gun at Fabian. Lucifer, you wore number 14 when you played Little League. You wore number 14 when baseball in high school. You wore 14 in college when you played for Harvard Crimson. EXT Harvard Stadium, ballpark, day. UCLA vs Harvard, Fabian stands at the home plate, hitting for Harvard Crimson. He is wearing number 14. The game is tied 2-2. We are at the bottom of 9, 2 out, full count. The pitcher throws a fastball as hard as he can. Fabian hits the ball down the line. The ball flies by the second baseman, in the middle. Fabian drops the bat, runs around the diamond, passes first base, run passes second base, going for triple. He dives for it. The ball flies by the third baseman. Fabian gets up and runs for home, and scores the winning run. Harvard Crimson wins the game. They all jump on Fabian in celebration. Int. Lucifer's island mansion, main living room, day. Back to, Fabian, Lucifer, and Julia. Lucifer pointing his gun at Fabian. Lucifer, so, you stabbed her 14 times. Int. Fabian's villa, main bedroom, flashback, day. Lucifer remains standing nude, carrying the knife and looking at Julia. Then Lucifer turns into Fabian. Fabian approaches Julia and stabs her in the neck as she opens her eyes. He stabs her in the heart. He stabs her multiple times. Blood comes out of Julia's neck, chest, breasts, etc. Int. Lucifer's island mansion, main living room, day. Back to, Fabian, Lucifer, and Julia. Fabian looks at Julia who is lying on the floor. She is drenched in blood mysteriously. There is blood on the floor. Fabian doesn't know what is happening. There is blood on his hand. Lucifer continues to point his gun at Fabian. Lucifer, the mind is the most powerful weapon in the universe. Your whole body makes a quantum leap into another dimension with each decision that you make, thinks about making it, and even your fear shape the truth. Your illusion became reality. You and I are the same persons. You created me, so I could save you from yourself, kill you and end it all. Fabian, fuck you. Fabian pulls a gun from hidden dimension, out of the thin air, and shoots Lucifer between his eyes. Lucifer falls and dies at the spot. Fabian goes down and holds Julia in his arm. Julia, who has multiple stab wounds and drenched in blood, seems dead. Fabian looks at her eyes. He then kisses her on the lips softly. Then mysteriously, all the blood turn into molecules, ascend high, float in the air, turns into rose petals, and disappear through thin air. In the meantime, everything that we have watched so far plays in rewind, time reverses. Note, we will see key parts of the movie in rewind, fast rewind and slow motion at best parts of the movie. We will then come to Fabian's villa at the garden with Fabian and Julia in the bathtub. EXT Fabian's villa, garden and bathtub, day. We see millions of sparkling stars and bright clean moon. Fabian and Julia sit in the bathtub. Julia is resting on Fabian's chest with her eyes closed. Fabian sits behind, reciting a poem Cradle Song by William Black while planting soft kisses on her shoulder. Fabian, softly down by her neck. Sleep, sleep, beauty bright. Dreaming in the joys of night. Sleep, sleep, in thy sleep. Little sorrows sit and weep. Sweet babe, in thy face. Soft desires I can trace. Secret joys and secret smiles. Little pretty infant wiles. As thy softest limbs I feel. Smiles as of the morning steel. O'er thy cheek, and o'er thy breast. Where thy little heart doth rest. Oh the cunning wiles that creep. In thy little heart asleep. When thy little heart doth wake. Then the dreadful night shall break. Julia smiles in beauty. Fabian kisses her on the shoulder. Julia, with her eyes closed sometime I wonder if we're alone in this universe. There could be intelligence life somewhere out there that breathe, think, feel, and wonder like us. What do you think? Fabian, I don't know, they could be aliens that look like humans somewhere in the cosmos. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is an exact copy of me who is proud of the life he has lived so far in a parallel universe that occupied the same space and time with our universe. He gets to be in the bathtub with the most beautiful girl in all cosmos. She smiles in beauty. He kisses her on the shoulder. Julia, with her eyes closed, let me ask you a question. If you could go back in time, what would you have changed? Fabian, I heard a lot of successful people saying they have no regrets. They would have lived their lives the way they did. Yet, I invented a drug that I thought it's going to keep people young for a while. But it causes infertility. I would have go back and make sure it has no side effect. Julia, don't worry about that too much. You will correct it. I have faith on you. Fabian smiles in wonder. He kisses her on the cheek. Fabian, but think about it, suppose if you have the power to travel back in time, you would at least take advantage of the opportunity, wouldn't you? Julia, with closed eyes / humorously, I'd find my cheating ex-boyfriend and knee him in the groin for no reason, before he even thinks about breaking my heart. Fabian smiles softly. Fabian, how old are you, 23? Julia, with her eyes closed, I'm 26. Fabian, humorously, at least, I'd have traveled 4 years back in time, and met you when you were 22. So I would have known by now what you like, what you hate, and what turns you on. She opens her eyes. Julia, don't worry about what turns me on. A romantic man always turns me on. Fabian smiles in wonder. Fabian, but the truth is I'm probably the luckiest man alive. Happiness is a state of mind, finding true love and pure joy in your soul at this moment. That's when you know life is meant to be lived to the fullest. You look back. Regrets, no regrets, it doesn't matter. You are alive. And you are with someone whom you are madly in love with. She takes every beat of your heart, and your very breathe away with her sense of presence, sensuality, and the most delicious lips. It is something worth living, striving, breathing, and dying for. Fabian kisses her on the shoulder. Julia, that's so romantic. Fabian, however, at the same time, you can't depend on time, either traveling back in time and fixing things or moving at the speed of light and making plans. I wish I could just stop time as it is, and spend the rest of my life with you here for eternity. She smiles in beauty. Julia and Fabian kiss. Then mysteriously everything around Fabian and Julia turns into a molecule, floats in the air and disappears through the thin air. Int. Lucifer's Island Mansion, main living room, day. Fabian finds himself back in Lucifer's Island Mansion, cradling Julia in his arms. Julia opens her eyes and looks at Fabian. Julia, under her breath, Fabian. Fabian, softly, hi, sweetheart. Julia, under her breath, I love you. Fabian, I love you too. Fabian kisses her on the lips. Julia kisses him. She puts her arms around him. They kiss more passionately. Fabian picks her up as they continue to kiss. Julia then parts her lips and falls asleep on Fabian's chest as if she took her last breath. Fabian, carrying Julia, walks toward the exit. EXT Fabian's new beach house, morning. It is a breathtaking house next to an ocean. Fabian sits on the sand, reading Quantum Spacetime, Mystery of the Cosmos, Parallel Universes, and Infinity by Lewis Clyde as the waves crash by the shore. Int. Fabian's beach house, bedroom, morning. Julia is sleeping in beauty. She then opens her eyes, gets up nude without a single drop of cloth and walks toward the living room. EXT Fabian's beach house, morning. Fabian puts the book on the sand and looks at the ocean. Then Julia, wearing red underwear and a spellbinding white translucent blouse that reveals her skin and shows her bare shoulder, walks up to Fabian. Fabian looks at her in wonder. Julia, hi. Fabian, hi. Julia sits next to him. There is a silent moment. She looks at the book. Julia, what are you reading? Fabian, Quantum Spacetime, The Mystery of the Cosmos, Parallel Universe, and Infinity by Lewis Clyde. There is another silent moment. She then. Julia, I have the weirdest dream. In the meantime, Julia notices that Fabian has a QR code tattoo on his wrist. Julia, wait. What's that on your wrist? Fabian, it's a tattoo. Fabian takes out his futuristic cell phone and scans the QR code tattoo. On Fabian's cell phone, we see the video of Julia sleeping in beauty. She looks breathtaking. Julia is impressed. Julia, that's nice. Fabian, it's fake, nanotechnology. I just drew it with a nanotech pen and coded it few minutes ago. He spits on his hand and removes the tattoo from his wrist. Fabian, I'll get a real tattoo with your image on my chest. She smiles in beauty. They kiss French as they lie on the sand. Close up, Fabian and Julia. Talking between soft kisses. Fabian, looking at her eyes down, what do you usually worry about? They exchange soft kisses. Julia, love. Soft kisses. Fabian, what about it? Soft kisses. Julia, it's something that I couldn't get enough of it. When I fall in love deeply and unconditionally. Soft kisses. Fabian, softly down by her lips, it's worst in my case. When I fall in love madly with passion and the nails that Christ was crucified, and the spear that the Romans pierced into his heart. It's so unfair. She smiles in beauty. Julia, whatever. They exchange delicious French kisses. Fabian, softly down by her lips, I can't live without you. Fabian and Julia kiss French. She puts her arms around him. They kiss more passionately. We pull out dexterously and talk it with overhead shot. The end.